Ben, Fred, Cisco!
Sacktown Sports.
It's time. It is that time. Time for Stiles and Watkins.
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140. Find us on YouTube at Sacktown Sports 1140.
It's time for Alan Stiles and Chris Watkins.
Yes. Stiles and Watkins. No Alan Stiles again. You just heard him these past 4 hours. My man held it down from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. He's going to go get a much-needed break right now. You had Brendan Nunez join me Friday and yesterday. He'll be joining me, I believe, again tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. But today, we have one and only Ben Ross joining me today. No relation to Jason Ross. I feel like you. How often do you get that question? I imagine you get it not all the time, but I imagine it pops on your feed every so often, yeah?
Yeah, I definitely had to research it just to make sure. I don't know. Well,
yeah, you can't say
gotta
no
go back
unless
a few
you know
generations,
for sure.
maybe some distant thing. No, I'm pretty sure we're not. So.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ben, for joining me today. Excited to talk a ton of different stuff. You definitely came in on the right day as Brandon Aiyuk has set the NFL world on fire with all of his drama and everything that's going on behind the scenes and in front of the scenes with the 49ers. Tons to talk about on that front. You have Lauri Markannen potentially locking down a long-term deal in Utah. What does that mean for the Golden State Warriors? What does that mean for the Utah Jazz? And, of course, what does that mean for the Sacramento Kings, as that is a team that will stay a pretty formidable opponent. The Utah Jazz, if they trade Lauri Markannen, that becomes one of your easier wins on the schedule, especially in the Western Conference. And with Lauri staying in Utah, that definitely adds another competitor in the West. And we'll talk about, of course, how that impacts the Warriors, as they were the hottest on the market for one Lauri Markannen, and where do they pivot to next? Of course, we're going to talk some Olympics as well. You got Olympic basketball going on right now, France and Canada. You had Serbia and Australia this morning. You got Team USA taking on Brazil at 12:30 our time. Definitely excited to get Ben's thoughts on Team USA and if they can take it to a gold. Gonna, of course, talk some DeMar DeRozan. NBA.com released their power rankings today. And let's just say, yet again, the Sacramento Kings are not getting the proper respect that they deserve after the offseason they had. We'll tell you where NBA.com has the Sacramento Kings in their newest power ranking. And, of course, the A's won yesterday, which really isn't much news, but Ben Ross was actually on site for the game to watch a piece of history, I guess.
Baby.
Yeah, history is history.
More rare than a perfect game.
It really is. It definitely is what the White Sox are doing right now. 21-game losing streak. We'll talk about that later as well, Ben. But it feels only appropriate to start today's show with how we honestly ended yesterday's show and where the majority of the sports talk is going today. And that's the Santa Clara with Brandon Aiyuk and the San Francisco 49ers. Yesterday, this was an absolute mess. We closed out the show with me kind of, I guess I wouldn't say reporting, but having to discuss the confusion of, I don't know how much you've been keeping up with the Twitter side of this, but the Cam Marinos of the world, the Pretty Ricky 1, 2, 3, 4 accounts that are out here saying, no, breaking, Brandon Aiyuk has been traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We ended up talking a little bit about how we're supposed to react to these kind of things. Just in general, Ben, have you ever seen any sort of saga play out like this? I mean, you have just the entire situation, but then specifically yesterday as well, you have reports of he has been traded. Nobody comes out immediately and says that's not true. And now it sounds like a lot of people are starting to corroborate that story.
Yeah, I don't know if I remember anything like this since Arson Judge was headed to the Giants.
That's right. Yeah.
No, but seriously, I mean, it's weird because obviously nowadays with social media, you often have these types of conflicting stories, right, and a lot of misinformation, and then
for sure
things changing. But the report from NBC Sports Bay Area yesterday or late last night, I don't remember seeing something like that where you have basically the 49ers almost in agreement with two different teams on a trade when you talk about the Patriots and the Browns. kind of having the framework of two separate trades agreed upon, and now it's sort of just up to Brandon Aiyuk, and can he agree to a contract with either one of those teams? That's sort of, I don't know if I remember that. And then, of course, you had the Steelers who were in it, and then they were out of it. And then the Steelers themselves did that weird tweet with like the red and fireworks and Monday Night Football. It's been weird, and it feels like it's going to be resolved pretty soon, but right now it's just chaos. Yeah, it's so strange. I can't remember a situation playing like this. This is definitely, I know 49ers fans will say, we go through this every offseason with somebody. Last season it was Bosa, and then it was Debo, and it was Trent at one point, and so this is just par for the course. This is starting to feel a little bit different. Like you said, with two deals firmly in place, it sounds like. And again, we heard Matt Mayoko say the quote yesterday, and Adam Schefter parroted it as well. Mm-hmm. The ball is in Brandon Aiyuk's court, and I think the Niners have made that very, very clear that this is really Brandon Aiyuk's decision. Do you get that same read that the Niners are essentially saying, look, we're tired of the back and forth. We want it to be known. This is on you at this point. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that it is now. The fact that, the reports are that the 49ers have the framework of these deals in place and almost agreed upon with multiple teams. I think it sort of is now up to Brandon Aiyuk. Can he get a deal that he wants with one of these teams? It sounds like maybe these are not teams that he wants to go to, but at the end of the day, he's going to have to make that decision. We were talking about it with Alan at the end of his show. You can't get everything that you want. And I think right now he wants it all. He wants the money. Yep. He wants to be the number one option, and he wants to be on a contender. And it sounds like he's going to have to sort of choose. It reminds me of one of those old viral posts about like being an adult, right? You can have, there's like a few things and you got to pick two, right? Like a social life, a good job, hobbies, and a good sleep schedule. Yep. Like pick two of them. Yep. You don't get all of them. No, exactly. No. And I think that's perfectly said 100%. Like it seems like it is Brandon Aiyuk's decision to ultimately decide if he wants to take that money or if he wants to be in a winning situation. Like you said, the Niners have the frameworks in place on two separate deals right now with the New England Patriots and with the Cleveland Browns as well. And, I think it is really up to Brandon Aiyuk to decide if he wants to sign long-term with either of those teams. And in this next segment here in a minute, we're going to talk about if what is being reported as the return is really good enough for the Niners. We know that the Niners obviously are in kind of a unique situation here where, typically if you're in these kind of situations, you're just trying to get the most value possible for these guys. But with the Niners in the thick of their Super Bowl window here, they kind of have to be very particular in what they want in return. And it'll be interesting to see if, again, the Niners have gotten to a point of exhaustion or frustration that they don't really care about that anymore. And they just really care about getting this wrapped up and everything like that. Ben, do you think that there's any way that this ends up, like you said, I mean, Brandon Aiyuk can't have everything, but is there a way that you see as currently constructed, this ends in a win-win situation for both sides? Yeah, actually I do. I mean, I think I understand where both sides are coming from here. Yeah. I mean, you get it with Brandon Aiyuk. Like he wants to maximize his earnings. Yeah. And in a game like football, obviously injuries happen all the time. And so, you want that stability. He's just going to have to I could see him still going to a decent situation and getting the contract that he wants. I mean, it could end up, I wouldn't put it past I could still see him ending up with the 49ers. Yeah, absolutely. He could have a change of heart, maybe realize that he's not going to get exactly the contract that he wants, but maybe it's a better situation for him still. Again, these are the decisions he's going to have to make. From the 49ers perspective, however, I think for it to be a win for them, they're going to have to get a good return. I mean, they can't just ship him off just to get rid of him and not get like a good receiver and some draft picks in return. Obviously, they drafted Ricky Pearsall, right? And we'll see how he steps in. And, Juwan Jennings is back. Obviously, Deebo Samuel sounds like he's having a great camp. Yes. But Brandon Aiyuk is very important to that offense. So if they lose him, they're going to need someone to fill that void. That, when you hear a name, who are the Steelers? Or Amari Cooper from the Browns, like somebody like that. Yeah. I think that's how it could be a win for the Niners. You got to get somebody established in addition to maybe some draft picks.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're going to talk about next here on Stiles and Watkins is what do the trade packages do for the 49ers? I mean, with the reports out there, Ben perfectly lays out there. The Amari Cooper rumor, I think, is the strongest one in terms of the return for the 49ers. But there's a good chance that, Brandon Aiyuk doesn't want to go out there and play in Cleveland and play with Deshaun Watson. There's a chance he doesn't want to go out there and play with the Patriots. What are they offering, and does it make sense for the 49ers? That's what we talk about next right here. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
The NFL's leading rusher plays here.
The handoff to McCaffrey, walks in the end zone. Handoff to McCaffrey, takes it right down to the goal line. He does his thing again. McCaffrey goes in motion right. Backwards pass led by Juszczyk. A block there. Hurdles the man. 10-5. Touchdown! CMC!
You can hear all of Christian McCaffrey's touchdowns on your home for 49ers football. Sacktown Sports.
Hey, it's me, your liver. You know, the organ that helps you recover every weekend after pizza, donuts, and all those drinks. When you have a headache, you take an aspirin. You have a stomach ache, you pop an antacid. But where's the love for your best buddy, the liver? The least that you could do to help me stay healthy is take Active Liver from New Nordic. Active Liver tablets contain high-quality, all-natural ingredients like milk thistle, globe artichoke, and turmeric extracts, which are proven to keep me healthy and you feeling your best. Active Liver provides an easy daily detox and helps protect me all year long. So let me make you an offer you can't refuse. You take care of me with Active Liver, and I keep taking care of you. Capiche?
See for yourself why Active Liver is Scandinavia's #1 liver health supplement. You can find Active Liver at CVS and online at Amazon, Target.com, or directly from NewNordicUSA.com. Again, find it in stores at CVS or online at Amazon, Target.com, or NewNordicUSA.com.
Sacktown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
Oh, there we go. Ben Ross just clicks on the France-Canada game. It is all France. It has been all France all day in this one. Jordi Fernandez's squad not looking up to snuff in this one. Canada was, I guess you could say, the favorite to take down U.S. just with their talent pool, but France is definitely giving them one heck of a run. And Ben, before we get into the 49ers package, what they could potentially get back in return, it's kind of been a little bit of I won't call it a hot button topic, but just I'd love to get your perspective kind of from the outside looking in. How should we on radio deal with Olympic spoilers? We've had a text, we've had some calls in the past week or so about, hey, can you maybe not say when Team USA, when Simone Biles, when Noah Lyles, wins the 200 or whatever, can you maybe not? It's kind of a weird in-between limbo that we're in because we are a sports station and it is happening live. It is accessible for everyone to watch, but obviously with the prime time in Paris, it's kind of how a lot of people will consume this. How should we navigate that?
That's a tough call.
Yeah.
There's
not a right answer is what I've found this week.
I think at this point, like back in the old days when I was growing up, sound like an old man say that. When I was a kid,
back in my day,
back in the 90s. No, but like remember they didn't have it live at all. Like everything was tape delayed. Right. They put it on only on NBC like at night. Now at least it's on multiple channels.
It's accessible.
It's streaming. It's all live. So I think the fact that it's available live everywhere. It's kind of like if you don't want the spoilers, it's a little bit harder to avoid that now. It's on social media. It's on TV. It's on the radio.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, with the Team USA basketball game coming up, I think like 12:30.
Yep.
I'm probably going to be commenting on
it.
I'm just going to have to.
Yeah.
So maybe with some of the other sports like the gymnastics, the swimming, the track, maybe that just because that's typically not what we would discuss too much anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm okay, like not giving away those spoilers. But I don't know when it comes to basketball.
Yeah,
it's gonna be hard for me. If I see a big dunk, if I see LeBron do something, I might let out a yell.
Definitely. Well, now you know what to expect, listeners. If you're listening to today and you don't want to know what the Team USA results are, I'm not going to say to turn this off because you definitely don't want to do that, but maybe just be cautious.
I'm just going to follow your lead.
Yes, I got you. Well, we'll lead us into a good spot here. But yeah, France is at the moment still up on Canada. Trey Lyles just checks in. For what it's worth, we're definitely, like I said, going to talk a little bit more Olympics in about 20 to 30 minutes or so. But Trey Lyles has struggled immensely so far in this Olympic stage. And Rudy Gobert was benched to start this one for Team France. So they are going with a different look, and it appears that it has worked out well for them so far. Moving back, I should say, to the San Francisco 49ers. Again, they are the talk of the town as it is right now in the NFL with preseason. This is the first week of preseason. We have literal preseason football on Thursday. Of course, we had the Hall of Fame game last week, but we have real football here this week coming up, and all the news feels like it's coming to a head. And speaking of, Nate, I know this one's for you. Matt Breida signed with the 49ers yesterday. The 8-year vet rushed for 1,900 yards as a 49er from 17 to 19. Nate, a lot of talk about the Niners doing a version of running it back, bringing back some old faces in the same place. Any thoughts?
This is just classic Shanahan. This is what he does,
Yes.
especially with running back. Like Tevin Coleman comes to mind.
I miss
Love that dude in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Brought him back for the Niners, and honestly, was a pretty decent
He's
piece
solid.
for the Niners.
Yeah.
I think he had a 3-touchdown game against the Panthers.
Yeah.
When
Sounds
they
right.
crushed him.
Yeah.
So this was before CMC and all that.
Yeah.
Classic Shanahan move. So just bring back this running back cheap. I don't see the point because Jordan Mason and Elijah Mitchell are both so
Incredible.
talented.
Yeah. And we already don't see enough of JP Mason anyway.
No, we don't. And that's a huge problem. I hope that's something that changes this year. Not during the playoffs. I'll emphasize that. When playoffs hit, CMC, that's the guy, right? 100%, 110%.
Yeah.
But I would love to see more. We don't see enough Elijah Mitchell either. We don't see enough of.
We saw no Elijah Mitchell, it felt like last year.
I think he was dinged up a bit, but still, it doesn't matter. And I know JP Mason gets some run on special teams and stuff, and that's great.
Gets a lot of run in preseason.
Yes. I need to see more of those guys before I see Matt Breida on the field. I'm sorry. I know Matt Breida is probably
fair.
Matt Breida is potentially the fastest player on the team
That's
now.
what I was going to say, yeah.
But still, that's not enough for me.
No, it's not. But it is very Shanahan, like you said. And, him bringing back that speed is definitely, I think, going to be a weapon used for the Niners, but probably not very often, as like Nate said. We didn't see a lot of the backup running backs from San Francisco last year, even though I think a lot of people were clamoring for it. Moving on to the trade packages for the San Francisco 49ers that are currently being reported from the Cleveland Browns and from the New England Patriots. Those are the only two reported deals that are already worked out with the structure and everything. And this is source semi from our San Francisco 49ers insider, Emil Fergoso, helped me out to put together what he is hearing is the packages for these trades. Ben, I would love to get your reactions to if you think that these are good enough packages, as you stated so perfectly in that first segment. This is really about the Niners making sure also that they get proper return for Brandon Aiyuk. The reported deal for the Browns is one, as you mentioned, Amari Cooper in a second-round pick. I personally think that is about as good as the Niners can get in terms of replacing Brandon Aiyuk. You had a fantastic season out of Amari Cooper last season. He had 1,250 yards, 5 touchdowns, 17.4 yards per catch to match Aiyuk's 17.9 yards per catch. They really did have very similar seasons. The other one for the Patriots is one Kendrick Bourne, as we talk about former San Francisco 49ers. Kendrick Bourne, a second-round pick and a third-round pick. Now, I think, of course, and you can even tell by the package delivered there, Kendrick Bourne is not as good of a player as Amari Cooper. Ben, do you feel like if the Niners do take that Patriots deal, what do you do with that? Is that kind of, again, living in the middle a bit where you are technically getting a receiver, but Kendrick Bourne is not a receiver that is near up to the quality of Brandon Aiyuk or, frankly, Amari Cooper.
I think that would be a steal for the Patriots, honestly. I mean,
really would.
I like Kendrick Bourne. As you said, we're familiar with him as a 49er, but he's not anywhere near the level of a game changer like a Brandon Aiyuk or, as you mentioned, an Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
And, I like getting the 2 draft picks back, but I still, for a team like the 49ers that's trying to win the Super Bowl right now, I don't think that's enough.
Doesn't do enough.
I think that's a steal. I think that'd be a great move for the Patriots.
I definitely agree. Kendrick Bourne in 21 had a great season, 55 receptions, 800 yards, 5 touchdowns. In 2022, definitely had a down year, 35 receptions, 434 yards, 1 touchdown in all 16 games. Last season, he tore his ACL in week 8. But was having a fantastic season leading up to that, pretty much matched his entire 2022 season. Again, in 8 weeks, he had 37 receptions, 406 yards, 4 touchdowns for New England last year. Kendrick Bourne, of course, began his career with the 49ers in 2017 as an undrafted free agent. He spent his first 4 seasons in San Francisco, where he played a total of 58 games. Bourne played 8 games last season, as I mentioned before, suffering a season-ending ACL tear in his right leg in Week 8 against the Miami Dolphins. It is likely he will not be ready to go until at least Week 4 or 5 of the upcoming season. And according to Patriots' new head coach, Gerard Mayo, he said in his press conference this morning, he said, quote, "Honestly, I did talk to him being Kendrick Bourne, this morning, and it was a good conversation," Mayo said. "And once again, I feel like the story is so much further along than anyone else. I just want to make sure we cleared the air, and I do believe in being transparent with the players and really just setting those guys at ease." So it definitely sounds like these talks are incredibly legitimate. It sounds like Gerard Mayo has spoken to Kendrick Bourne about the potential of being moved. But again, Kendrick Bourne will not be ready to go until at least Week 4 or 5. So that is absolutely something for the 49ers to consider. And does that make you feel even more so in the camp of let's not do this path for the 49ers? Man?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does. Obviously, at least you get him back Week 4, Week 5.
Right.
Hopefully he's fully recovered and healthy for most of the season and for the postseason, which is what really matters.
Yeah.
And again, I like Kendrick Bourne. I think if you do that deal, though, and you're the Niners, I want more draft picks than that, or a first-round pick as well. And I think it would be hard for the Patriots to part with a first-round pick.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Brandon Aiyuk is one of the top receivers in the game. He's an explosive guy. He means a lot to that 49ers offense, and I feel like if you let him go, the Niners have a lot of other weapons, but not from that wide receiver position. Deebo Samuel, we'll see. It sounds like, again, he's having a really good training camp, but he's not your prototypical wide receiver. He's a great, versatile guy who can line up all over the field. But Brandon Aiyuk is sort of that big play threat, and I feel like they really lose something if he goes. And, if I'm the Niners, I want to find a way to replace that if I'm going to trade him.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, you can hope Juwan Jennings as much as you want. I'm a fan of Juwan Jennings. But I still will argue he probably would have been the Niners Super Bowl MVP if they would have won that game. But I completely agree. I just don't think it's enough. And, I do also, and we can talk about it later, but I do also wonder, what does Brandon Aiyuk look like on the Patriots? What does he look like potentially on the Browns? I think, while obviously the Niners have to be concerned about what they are getting back, I think there is also some concern from these teams receiving, or there should be, I would say, some concern from these teams thinking, okay, well, where does Brandon Aiyuk necessarily put us? What does he necessarily do for the Patriots in terms of their quest to get back to some sort of prominence? Coming up next, we are going to talk about some basketball news, the latest in breaking in the Lauri Markannen situation, and what teams were in on Lauri, and what was the Warriors' final offer to the Utah Jazz. We talk about that and more right here, Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
The only place you'll find Kevin Herter is Sacktown Sports.
Herter's open, steps into 3. He's got the triple.
Hey, Sacramento, it's Kevin Herter, and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings, Sacktown Sports.
Your local sports leader. Hey, it's Carmichael Dave inviting you to make the switch to electric this spring and save big with American Energy. Stay ahead of those spiking energy bills this summer with up to $9,000 in rebates on a new ultra-high efficiency comfort system. American Energy is providing huge rebates from SMUD as well as spring specials by installing one of many incredibly efficient AC options available to you right now. Get rid of those fluctuating gas bills in the winter and switch to year-round all-electric with American Energy. Let them perform a free in-home energy efficiency analysis and see where they can help you save for the warmer months ahead. These guys are the best. Been serving the greater Sacramento area since 1981. A+ from the Better Business Bureau. Learn more by calling 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
It's a myth to think you don't play golf well enough to get fitted for golf clubs. The professionals at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio would argue that playing the game with golf clubs properly fitted to your body and swing characteristics is the best way to improve your game and have more fun on the golf course. With a professional staff of fitters, all the major brands of equipment, and cutting-edge technology featuring TrackMan, the indoor-outdoor Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio is worth a look. See for yourself, Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway. Schedule your fitting at 916-808-2531, 808-2531.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Xfinity Mobile. Connect to the most reliable 5G network nationwide. Well, July was very good to the A's as they put together their best month since they were 17-9 back in June of 21. And they took advantage of a real quirk in the schedule, playing the Angels 10 times in July, and they went 8-2. And also good series against the Astros and the Phillies, going 2-1 against those two ball clubs as well.
Want to save on some of the biggest names in streaming on the network made for streaming? Now through September 21st, get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for 12 months with a 1-year contract. And for just $15 a month, add the new Stream Saver that includes Peacock, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix for just $35 a month. Switch at Xfinity.com today. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto-pay with stored bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular internet rates apply. Currently $54 a month. Actual speeds vary. Stream Saver requires Xfinity internet or TV and price subject to change.
Sacramento. Dirks Bentley's coming to town. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo for Country in the Park 2. And he's bringing some friends. Harmony, Tyler Rich, Dasha, Kelsey Hart, and more. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by RVs of Sacramento and Hoblet Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center.
The PGA club fitters at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio know that golf should be fun. They also know that players of all abilities will hit the ball farther and straighter, play better golf, shoot lower scores, and have more fun if they get fitted before they purchase golf clubs. Hagen Oaks delivers the same technology and major brands used to fit PGA and LPGA professionals. See how the game can be even more fun. Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sacktown Sports.
Stiles and Watkins. Chris Watkins joined by Ben Ross today. Alan Stiles held down the morning spot. Kyle Ledbetter behind the glass. We got Nate behind the glass for us today. Oh, Kyle's still here. What's up, Kyle? We just talked about during the break, Adam Schefter has some audio from the Pat McAfee show this morning saying he does not, quote, I do not expect Pittsburgh to be a landing spot at all for Brandon Aiyuk. Of course, the rumors have been the majority of the rumors have been circulated around the Patriots and the Browns, but the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, were the team that Aiyuk specifically said he would be willing to go to earlier this offseason. Of course, there is also the Washington Commanders, who I believe there are actual reports out there saying that the Commanders are officially out as well, but that is a team which we know Brandon Aiyuk wants to play for, with the Jaden Daniels connection. That is, what have you made of that, Ben? I don't know how much you've seen of their relationship because they've been very public about it, but that I mean, it's not tampering at all, but it's felt a little strange how connected those two have been this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, they were teammates, right?
Yes, at ASU, for 1 year. Yeah,
they got a good relationship, obviously. Yeah, some of the Twitter videos or TikTok videos that have come out have been interesting. I mean, I guess look, they're friends. I guess it's not tampering, and you can be buddy. But yeah, it sounds like Aiyuk would probably love to play there. Just not going to happen.
Doesn't seem like it. And again, we will definitely follow that as it progresses. Who knows how this flow of reporting is going to go. It's been absolute mess this entire time. So it'll probably be Nate. It might be Nate, honestly, behind the glass who ends up breaking the news that Aiyuk gets traded, because it can just be anybody these days, apparently. It can literally happen at any time. And speaking of at any time, it has been time for Lauri Markannen to sign his extension. It's been the talk of the entire offseason. The Golden State Warriors have been hot on the tail of trying to bring in one Lauri Markannen. Well, that might have just came to an end this morning. Shams Charania reported in The Athletic, Markannen and the Utah Jazz are expected to agree to a massive long-term contract extension planned to be signed Wednesday or later, making him ineligible to be traded for the entirety of the 24-25 season, league sources tell The Athletic. That is mainly because it is not that, for whatever reason, there's no trade clause or something like that. It is just when you sign a contract extension, you are then essentially blocked off for 6 months in a row. And with it being August 6th, 6 months from today would be February 6th, which is the NBA trade deadline, thus making it impossible for Lauri Markannen to be traded if he signs a contract extension today. I believe if he signs it today, actually, there is a possibility that they could trade him on the actual trade deadline. But of course that is not likely to happen, as that's kind of the reason why they have waited this entire time. Again, this is from Shams Charania of The Athletic. The deal will come via negotiation and extend using the Jazz's $33 million of open salary cap space. League sources said Markkanen's deal is projected to be worth upwards of $200 million over 5 years. It keeps him under contract through 2029, giving him the richest contract in Jazz history and one of the highest salaries for a European player in NBA history. Utah is able to give Markkanen his maximum salary of $42.2 million this upcoming season by using $24.3 million of that cap space to add to his current $18 million salary. That is exactly what the Sacramento Kings did last offseason when they extended Domantas Sabonis. They used their available cap space from that offseason to essentially put it into current money for their star. The Jazz held Markkanen trade conversations with several serious suitors over the last month, including the San Antonio Spurs, the Golden State Warriors, and your Sacramento Kings. Ben Ross, the Lauri Markanen saga has finally come to an end. It has came to a conclusion. How do you feel like the Utah Jazz are now set up after this happens? I mean, they kind of had the opportunity here to lean fully into a rebuild, and now that they have Markkanen, I think Alan said it this morning, they're kind of in the middle of, they could be buyers now. They could still potentially sell, but try and sell for the right things. They have a ton of draft picks from trading Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. Do you like where Utah is currently standing right now?
Well, I think that's what surprised me a little bit about it, is because they've got all those draft picks. And it felt like they wanted to go full rebuild, and now they kind of find themselves in the middle, which is where you never want to be. I love Markkanen as a player, and perhaps, they look at him as a guy that can be part of the rebuild, lead the rebuild, put some pieces around him, whether it's through draft picks or guys already on the roster. I mean, I do respect what, their outlook with him when they were trying to move him. They had sort of high expectations for what they wanted in return, and they didn't come off them. And so they didn't get what they wanted from anybody. And they said, all right, we're going to lock this guy down and start to build around him. And so that's going to be interesting to see. I think from the Kings' perspective, obviously, they went out and got DeMar DeRozan. I think that was huge. And, maybe they saw the writing on the wall that the Markkanen deal wasn't going to happen. I think it's a tougher loss for the Warriors because they've sort of struck out with all of the big free agents that they went after. I mean, they brought in some decent pieces, guys like Buddy Hield, right? DeAnthony Melton, Kyle Anderson. I mean, they're decent pieces, but they still did not make that big splash. Maybe that will come during the season at the trade deadline. But again, Markkanen, you can cross him off the list, and he was a big piece of that. So it'll be interesting to see where the Warriors turn now.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great point, because the Warriors were again, like that was the one that they had kind of pointed at. This is the right guy for us. This is the guy they've really struggled to find that center piece for them. No pun intended, or I guess excuse the pun. But they've been trying to find that big man that they really want to play with Steph Curry. They've never really been able to run that pick and pop to its full potential. Of course, Draymond can run it a bit, but he's not nearly the shooter that Lauri Markanen is. And yeah, it feels like with this piece being off the board, I mean, I don't know where Golden State is going to pivot to. We'll talk about that in more length in about 20 to 30 minutes or so. But man, I think that's really where my eyes go to, is straight to Golden State. I mean, Utah, they can figure it out. They have all the picks. They have time as well. I don't think anyone has much expectations for Utah. But Golden State we talk about the Niners championship
They're on
window.
the clock.
Steph Curry is out here pointing. He's hitting the Dame Lillard. He's saying, it is time, okay? I only have a certain amount of years left to maximize my career, and Lauri Markanen is about as good of a piece as you could have brought in for them this offseason. And, I think I saw a report in Sham's writing of Lauri Markkanen's extension. I believe he says in there that the Warriors are very comfortable going into next season with the roster that they have currently. I think that's a mistake. I think right now the Warriors, to me, they're a 9, a 10 seed right now. And I think in the Western Conference, they very well could get kicked out. I mean, Steph Curry can take you so far, but we've seen that with where the West is currently at. I don't know if one guy is good enough right now.
Yeah, the Warriors, I don't know what I think about them, because I think they underachieved last year.
Yeah, definitely.
Even with, I didn't look at them as a championship contender last year, but I did look at them as a playoff team. And I still sort of consider them, I think I maybe consider them a little bit higher than a 9 or a 10. I think that I look at them as a playoff team again, maybe a 6-7 type seed. I like Podziemski a lot. I like Kuminga a lot. The question is, can those guys really take another big step forward this year? And can Steph Curry maintain I think Steph will maintain a really high level. We'll see what we get from Draymond. But I'm with you, because I look at the Warriors roster and the changes they made. I don't think they're really any better than they were last year, right? You lose Klay Thompson, which maybe is not the biggest loss in the world anymore, and it frees up some playing time for some of the younger guys. Right. But, I mean, does Buddy Hield help that much? Does Kyle Anderson, a DeAnthony Melton? I don't know if any of those guys really help that much. I think they're counting on, again, guys like Kuminga, Trace Jackson-Davis, Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, all of those younger guys to take another step.
Yeah.
And I also think that they feel comfortable. I think part of why they feel comfortable is they know that they can make an addition at the trade deadline if they need to during the season. Right. They can kind of see how the group plays together. But, yeah, I mean, we talk about you don't want to be in that middle spot.
Yeah, you don't want to be
in
limbo,
between,
in purgatory.
Not competing, but not
yeah.
getting good draft picks. I think that's kind of where the Warriors are trending towards right now. Again, sort of a fringe playoff team.
Right.
We'll see if they can take another step from that.
Yeah, no, and it's honestly semantics. If I have them as a 10 seed, you have them as a 6 seed, they don't care.
It's
They're
the
like,
same kind of thing.
We just want to be a champion to that point. Like they are not at the point where consolation prizes do anything for them. They only need to win championships. That's all Steph Curry is going to do to add to his legacy at this point. And I think Lauri Markkanen is definitely the best piece out there that could have helped them get there. I just don't know. And we'll talk about, like I said, we'll talk about it later, but I don't know if the Brandon Ingrams, the Zach LaVines, the natural pivot points, the Jeremy Grants, I don't know if those guys are necessarily good enough to move the needle for them.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, like I said, in some time here. But we are going to, as we have the Olympics on here, we have Team USA going against Germany in the women's semifinal for soccer. You have France and Canada going on right now in the fourth quarter. It is starting to get close. We will tell you all about it and more coming up next. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Did you miss any part of our live local shows? Don't worry, you never have to miss them again. Check out sacktownsports.com and search our podcast page and play our shows when you want. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys. Plus, other podcasts like Return of the Empire, Return of the Roar, the Stingers Up podcast, and Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
They're all available right now on sacktownsports.com.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
School is almost here, and if there's two things I can count on, it's my kids needing new outfits because they grow like weeds, and Cole stocking their favorite styles. With the back-to-school customer appreciation event going on, I scored 30% off tees, jeans, sneakers, and more when I shopped with a Kohl's card. No card? No problem. Rewards members save 20%, and everyone else saves 15%, plus earn Kohl's Cash. When it comes to back to school, you gotta go back to Kohl's. Select styles. Some exclusions apply. Offer ends August 11th. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by September 2nd, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Labor Day savings now at Maida Chevy with $12,000 off MSRP on every new Silverado half-ton Turbo Max in stock after rebates.
$12,000 off every Silverado LT Turbo Max at Maida Chevy with at least 5 at this price.
Labor Day savings up to $12,000 off MSRP exclusively at Maida Chevy at MaidaChevy.com. Sacramento Silverado headquarters. Together, let's drive.
Not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers. Must trade in 2010 model year or newer. Ends 9/3/24.
Made a great deal at Maida.
Hi, this is Frank LaRosa.
And this is Scott Marsh.
Join us weekly for Golf to Go right here on Sacktown Sports. We talk to all the local golf experts in the area and give you the latest on all the courses as well.
And not to mention all the golf legends and celebrities, along with all the latest in equipment and tournaments too.
Most importantly, we'll just have some fun talking about a game that's fun to play.
You know, it's my favorite hour of the week, Frank.
Golf to Go, Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Saturdays at 8 a.m. right here on Sacktown Sports. Give us a listen. I think you'll enjoy it.
At aimyourdigital.com, we'll help you target the right audience, build your leads, and crush your quota. Take your business to the next level. Our digital marketing strategies help grow awareness of your product or service, all while building trust in your business. Our approach involves leveraging multiple tools and strategies to deliver exceptional results that are customized to your unique business needs. Don't wait to run out of sales leads. Keep your business growing. Get started with aimyourdigital.com today.
Hi, this is Greg Papa. Disasters hit every day. If your home, business, or building has suffered from any disaster, SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to and letting your focus be on what's most important, your family or your business. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884.
Insurance companies perform a very valuable service, but they want to keep their money. Although most cases settle before trial, it is paramount that the insurance companies know that if pressed, your legal team has the experience to take your case all the way. For 25 years, Ashton & Price has earned the reputation that if the insurance company isn't fair, we're ready to force them to be fair. My mom used to warn me, wait till dad gets home. Think of us as dad. The best part, there's no fee until we win.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
Jason Mraz and the Super Band. Live. The mystical, magical, rhythmical, radical ride. Friday, August 9th, the venue at Thunder Valley. Jason Mraz and the Super Band with special guest Molly Miller Trio. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. Jason Mraz and the Super Band in concert. Pick up the new album, Mystical, Magical, Rhythmical, Radical Ride.
Sawtown Sports. Check us out on YouTube. Search Sawtown Sports and subscribe.
Mentioned before the break that we've got a couple Olympic games on here, some Olympic action. We got Team USA women's soccer taking on Germany in the semifinal game. They are heading, looks like they're going to head into extra time. They are currently in the 5 minutes of stoppage time. We'll see how that one goes. Germany has an interesting pink and blue kit, which me and Ben were surprised to learn wasn't U.S.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out which team was which. I'm like, wait, which of these teams is blue and pink?
Yeah,
and Germany, unless they change their flag, is there any pink and blue? Am I missing something?
I definitely don't think so. It would make sense a little bit for America, but America's just rocking the straight white top and red shorts. So we kept it standard there, hoping to get a late goal that could maybe send them over to the finals. You have in the quarterfinals of the men's basketball side, fourth quarter, 4 minutes to go, and you have France currently up on Canada. I'm still trying to determine if we want to spoiler that one or not. There's 4 minutes to go, and that one just got real close for Jordi Fernandez and his squad. We'll check in on that one earlier, but I do want to read some of these box scores that Ben pointed out to me during the break for this Canada-France game. Again, I won't give the official scores or anything, but let me just say that regardless of what the score is, they didn't get there how you would expect.
Some rough games.
You know, Allen did the 30 for 30. What if I told you? Well, I'll do the same. What if I told you Victor Wembanyama, 1 of 7, 0 of 5 from 3, 4 points. Nick Batum, 0 for 1. You have Frank Ntilikina, 0 for 4. You have Rudy Gobert, 0 for 0. Let's see here. That is just on the France side. You have Evan Fournier, 1 of 4. On the Canada side, you have Dylan Brooks, 1 of 8.
Just made his first basket.
Did he really?
Yeah,
wow.
He was 0 for 7 with 0 points, and I looked down and I'm like, oh, he made one. He's 1 for 8.
There we go. He's contributing now. Dylan Brooks, 1 of 8. You have Lou Dort, 2 of 3. You have Trey Lyles, 0 of 2. And then Jamal Murray is 3 of 13. So, again, I will not tell you what the score is currently, but just know if you're planning to watch this game later, you're probably not going to get the excitement that you were hoping for if you were hoping to see a Victor Wembanyama masterclass or maybe even Shea, who is 8 of 17. Not quite the performance that you would have thought so far. France has 4 points in this fourth quarter. Canada has 10. So it has not been an offensive showcase.
Yeah, defense wins championships.
That's right.
Defense wins medals.
That's right.
Defense wins like bronze or silver medals.
That's right. Not gold. That's for
Probably
sure.
not gold.
So, yeah, we will keep you updated on this one. If anything crazy happens on the basketball side or if the women's soccer team comes up clutch with a stoppage time goal, we will let you know. But just filling you in on the total medal count as it stands, U.S., of course, is absolutely washing everybody in the total medal count. I feel like we have to figure out like some better measurement because the U.S. just sends so many more athletes that it's, of course, they're up 79 to 55 as second place. China is in second with 55 total medals. U.S. has 79. It's just not a fair race. When it comes to the gold race, though, which is the only one I'm counting for.
Yeah. How do you sort? I've had this debate with people. Do you like to sort it by total medals or by gold?
It's got to be gold. To me, I'm with you have the most gold,
I'm team gold.
That's why we're here.
Right?
We are here
going
to
for
win
first
gold.
place.
Yes.
I mean, look, I love the medals. I love having the pedestal, the podium,
absolutely
3. But it's funny to me because the Olympics are kind of the only sporting event where we celebrate second and third. And again,
great point. Wow,
I like it
that one
because these guys work these
Oh,
men and women work
tirelessly,
their whole lives for it, and there's no shame in being the second or third best in the world.
In
or
the
something.
world,
But I just
yeah.
think it's funny. Like we definitely don't treat it like that in the NBA, right?
No,
we
not.
knock
First
LeBron
loser.
for all of those finals losses.
Right.
Don't consider them. But so I'm with you. I like to sort it by gold medals.
You
and then
got to.
Total medals can be the tiebreaker.
Look, silvers are fine. Like you said, silvers are fine. Bronzes are great. They're great. Okay. You can definitely display it at your house or whatever. But the reason you show up is to win, is to be the best. And I'm sorry, especially in the U.S., we have a gold standard. We just do. And, speaking of last night, unfortunately, in the gymnastics side of things, they didn't bring home any gold. Simone Biles finished with a silver in her floor routine, did not medal on the balance beam, which was really interesting for anybody who watched that. I caught it on the prime time in Paris yesterday. A lot of people falling on the beam yesterday. Don't know if there was a weak spot, or they were trying to frame it as if maybe it's because they're tired from competition the entire
beam.
week.
Sorry.
They wanted to light the beam on fire yesterday because of how many people continued to fall, including when Simone Biles falls, something is not right in the building.
Equipment.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be. Like, there was a clip of last season in the NBA. I think it was Steph actually was dribbling around and he found a dead spot on the court.
I remember that.
It has to be something like that where it's like, okay, if Simone's falling here, there's got to be is the beam crooked? Is it what ended up happening? But yeah,
I think I interrupted you though. What was because we had the medal count. What's the current gold medal?
Current gold medal count is China is currently in first at 22 gold medals. U.S. is in second, right behind them at 21.
Okay.
Australia is in third right now with 14. France, the home country, at 13. So that will definitely be something to watch. And again, the U.S. probably will win that count, especially once all the track events are concluded. There's not a lot of Chinese sprinters out there, but we got
a lot of gold medals still out there to get.
A lot. We got the relay still. Noah Lyles, obviously, with his 200. I believe the women's 200 is today as well. So yeah, a good amount of golds still in the possibility for Team USA. Definitely going to be monitoring that. And as we will with Noah Lyles, like I just mentioned, after winning the gold medal in the men's 100 final, Noah Lyles returned to the track yesterday for round one of the 200. He finished first in his heat with a time of 2019 and qualified for the semifinals on Wednesday. And again, Noah Lyles is looking to become the first American to ever receive gold in both the 100 and 200 since Carl Lewis did it. And since 2022, Noah Lyles hasn't lost a race in the 200 at the World Championships or the Olympics. Have you had a favorite Olympian specifically from this cycle? Has it been Noah Lyles? Has it been Simone absolutely killing it? Or are you a pool guy?
That's a really good question. I do like the swimming, and I gotta say, even though I'm a Cal guy and Katie Ledecky is a Stanford girl, she is just unbelievable.
Yeah, incredible.
I've liked that.
She just kills people, man. I don't think
she's
anybody's
out of the
dominant.
Screen half the time.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
It's wild. Well, I was going to ask you. So, okay, you guys. I don't know if you guys have already talked about this, and we can get into it later. With Noah Lyles, right? You remember all the controversy with the World Championship?
Yes, we can definitely get.
I wanted
into
your opinion
sure.
on that. I'm curious about that. Yeah, we gotta get, because that made me think. I feel like I get the arguments both ways there.
For sure. No,
but
definitely.
I do like Noah Lyles, and you know what? Again, credit to him. He talked the talk and he backed it up.
100%.
And I love that. If I have no problem with athletes talking, but you better back it up, and he did.
And did you see all the backlash that was happening when he finished second in the qualifier too?
That was weird. It was weird because I was on Twitter and it felt like a lot of people thought that was the final.
I thought the same.
Something.
I was like, did I miss the actual final? What are we talking about here?
You're just trying to get into the final. It doesn't matter. Yeah,
and it's like, this is American, guys.
I really think a lot of people thought that was the final based on what I was reading. Everyone was like, everyone was crushing him and kind of taking a victory lap at his loss. And I'm like, wait, he hasn't even raced yet. That was the semi. Yeah, it was weird.
No, and it just shows you that, it's a cliche, but everybody's just waiting on your downfall. Really, they just wait for a single second in which you're not at your peak to start to bring you down.
And to be fair, when you talk, you do open yourself up to that criticism.
Definitely.
But that's why it's great. I think it was Mina Kimes tweeted the other day, right? talking the talk, talking trash, and backing it up. There's nothing better.
Nothing better. Absolutely. And, I always say that's kind of the final step of greatness too, is like when you talk about it and then you be about it, but also when there's a level of expectation and then you meet that expectation or exceed it. To me, that's greatness. And, it's not like, again, we're not talking Katie Ledecky. He outraced everybody.
Kind of the opposite of Katie Ledecky in terms of the margin of victory, but
a literal
it's still
photo
a win.
finish. It's still a win. And I know Alan went off this morning on somebody having comments about, oh, no, Lyles, how can you really, talk all this talk when you barely won? Of course, it really doesn't matter. As long as you get the gold, that's all we care about. And as we know here in Sacramento, all we really care about is the Sacramento Kings. And I'm going to tell you why. NBA.com is just, oh my goodness, Evan Fournier just hit about what is that, like a 35-footer?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious. That was insane. Broke my train of thought. But yes, we will talk about the Kings and NBA.com having them pretty low in their NBA power rankings. We'll talk about that next right here. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Kevin Herter plays here.
It's Herter. He's been hot. He fires. He's still hot. Kevin Herter from downtown has a 15-point first quarter.
Sacktown Sports is your proud home of the Sacramento Kings.
If you've been on the American River, it's uphill, it's downhill. There's trails everywhere that you can walk, and it just makes you happy. And I couldn't walk, and it was terrible. I was turning into a real crab. I went to the Good Feet store, and I tried on the arch supports. I could not believe that I was not in pain. I can walk, I can run, I can jump, I can do anything. My name's Terry, and that's my Good Feet story.
The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, and Vacaville.
Only one radio program captures the excitement of hunting and fishing as it happens. The award-winning California Sportsman with Sep Hendrickson. Only California Sportsman takes you where the action is. Live on the water, live in the blind, and live with the top pros and experts in outdoor sports. California Sportsman with Fishing Hall of Famer Sep Hendrickson is your premier destination for all things outdoors. Sep's Saturday Morning Outdoors. Ultimate Bass and California Sportsman, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Saturdays on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Got a drain that's clogged up? Or maybe a toilet? Or a faucet that just won't quit leaking? Kenny and Jerry are here from Bell Brothers, and we want you to know that it does make a difference which plumber you call.
At Bell Brothers, we respect your time by showing up when we say we'll be there. Our technicians are all background checked and drug tested, and will greet you with a smile.
They're trained to do the job right the first time, and they carry over 1,000 parts on their trucks, so they won't have to order something and then come back later.
They leave the work area cleaner than they found it, and your final bill will be the same as they quoted. That's why they call us the No Surprise Guys.
So if you need a plumber, it does make a difference who you call. Call Bell Brothers. Our number is 916-444-1234, or find us online at thenosurpriseguys.com. That's 916-444-1234, or find us online at thenosurpriseguys.com.
The No Surprise Guys, Bell Brothers.
Sponsored by Xfinity Internet. Enjoy ultimate control of your home network. Personalize your Wi-Fi name and password. Assign user profiles. View and control connected devices and more with the Xfinity Internet app.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, KHTK-AM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento, the only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Sacktown Sports.
Sacktown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
11 o'clock right on the dot, top of the hour. And I'll read some texts first before we I'm just going to give the results of this France-Canada game as it wraps up. So if you do care about spoilers, I'll give you a little slight warning beforehand.
I can't imagine anybody sitting on pins and needles, like really wanted to save this Canada. I mean, you never know. There might be a huge Canada fan, but
be surprised.
I don't know. I'd be surprised if we have anyone that upset if we spoil this Canada France.
People will find ways to be upset, man. Let me tell you. They'll find new and creative ways of getting upset at me. Let's see here. First off, this is from Trey when we were talking about Matt Breida, saying Matt Breida is a nice insurance policy. Well, he's about the 4th or 5th string, so that's going to be quite a bit of bad luck going the Niners' way if Matt Breida does play. But definitely agree that if you do get to Matt Breida at that point, it's a pretty good stopgap for at least at that point. This is from the 916. China wins all their golds in the badminton, table tennis, archery, and pistol shooting events. Those events are done. USA is going to take over second half of the Olympics. That's from Nick. And yes, I did see actually that Team China was playing in the badminton and the table tennis. I think they lost the badminton doubles, if I'm not mistaken. And I think they might have also lost the table tennis doubles as well. And those are usually their dominant ones. But it was also maybe I'm not the smartest man out there.
I couldn't fact check you on those. I missed those ones.
Can you maybe explain to me, and I probably shouldn't go public with these kind of questions, but why is there a China and then a Chinese Taipei? Is there much of a difference there? Am I missing something?
Yeah, that's a complicated one because I believe that's a political different. So you got Taiwan,
okay,
but there's for some reason based on their politics, China makes them be called Chinese Taipei, but I think we call them Taiwan. That's
okay.
That's a whole lot of research.
Gotcha. Yes, I'm glad. And like I said, I probably shouldn't have gone public with it, but it was just bothering me. And I think I also saw that they're splitting Hong Kong into its own. Or there was some other city that they were turning into its own delegation as well. Thought that was interesting. Now we get to the official, I'm going to throw it in quotes here, Olympic spoilers as we talk about France and Canada for about 20 to 30 seconds here. I will also mention this is officially the start of the spoiler warning. This is on the USA front. The women's soccer team has just scored in extra time to put them up 1-0. They're in the 95th minute of extra time, so they have a whole nother period to go through. But on the France versus Canada game, like we said before the break, as I was teasing, Evan Fournier hits about a 40-foot grenade from, I don't know, it was a couple steps in from the half-court line. Wemby gives it to him with about 2 seconds left, and Evan Fournier just drops a bomb and hits it from 3, puts France up 10, and they are currently, I believe, up 7 right now with about 45 seconds to go. So it does appear as if Jordi Fernandez and his Canada squad will be eliminated from the Olympics. There is 11 seconds left, and France is up by 7. A really cool moment for the host country, as we know basketball is a growing sport across just the entire map. And this is probably a moment for French basketball that might honestly spur something, no pun intended with Tony Parker, but might spur a real movement in France. I mean, it's really crazy how these things happen, but you saw it in Spain. You saw it in Argentina a bit with Manu. Obviously they have Wemby as a crowning figure, but this could really be a serious moment for French basketball. And I think it's really cool if they do end up making a run here. Beating Canada is no joke at all.
No, I mean, this is a disappointing result for Canada.
Definitely.
This was a team that
medal
was,
too. Yeah.
They were expecting to medal.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I mean, can you imagine if France plays the US in the gold medal game? I'm just looking at the bracket right now. They're on opposite sides. So conceivably you could have the US and France as the home team. The atmosphere will be ridiculous if that ends up happening.
Poor Joel Embiid if that happens. French delegation has already been giving it to him in the non-France America games. If Joel Embiid, who did opt to play for Team USA over Team France, if that game happens, good luck, Joel. But I would also say good luck to Rudy Gobert, because I think Joel would probably be fueled in that game and would have something to say as it officially goes to a final and France takes down Jordi Fernandez and Trey Lyles in Canada. Their summer is officially over. Trey can now make his way over to Sacramento and worry about the season, and Jordy can get to work in Brooklyn trying to figure out what they are going to do in a post-Mikal Bridges world. And, there's obviously some ties in with the Kings still, with them being rumored for Cam Johnson and or Dorian Finney-Smith. So we will see where Jordy goes from here, it will now be presumptively Serbia and U.S. playing on Thursday if U.S. can beat Brazil later today. And then you have Germany versus France on the top side of the bracket. They will play to reach the finals. You had Gershon Yabusele put up 20 points for Team France, 22 points for Team France. I remember when he was a member of the Celtics, they would refer to him as French Draymond. So definitely finally living up to that moniker, and good for France to get this big win. Now on to the Sacramento Kings. As I mentioned before the break, NBA.com has released their Western Conference power rankings, putting together where they see the West shaking up as of today. This is not solidified. This is a fluid list, of course, as power rankings do. Their first of this offseason. They have the OKC Thunder at number 1. They have Denver Nuggets at number 2. They have the Western Conference champion Dallas Mavericks currently sitting at number 3. Minnesota Timberwolves at number 4. Phoenix Suns all the way up at number 5. New Orleans Pelicans at number 6. Golden State at number 7. Ladies and gentlemen, they have your Sacramento Kings currently slated at the number 8 spot in the Western Conference, just ahead of the LA Clippers at number 9 and the Memphis Grizzlies at number 10. In their write-up, they do mention the Kings' key addition of DeMar DeRozan and their key departure of Harrison Barnes and Davion Mitchell. A number that you need to know, they have Domantas Sabonis led the NBA in assists on three-pointers per game, second most of any player over the last 6 seasons. He had 4.1 assists on three-pointers, which is, again, the second most for any player in the last 6 seasons. That is not a number I've seen associated with Domantas Sabonis before, so that's a really good nugget. And their key question for Sacramento this season, does DeRozan fit here? And that has been the prevailing question, not even necessarily here in Sacramento, but just from the national media looking at the Kings situation from afar. They write the 15-year veteran who turns 35 on Wednesday. How about celebrity birthdays for DeMar DeRozan coming up? Can still get buckets and get to the line? And the Kings were worse in clutch games last season, 20-19, with the league's 18th rated clutch offense than they were otherwise, 26-17 in non-clutch games. But it may be a challenge for a player who ranks 4th in total isolation over the last 3 years to fit in with a team that moves the ball as much as the Kings. Perhaps they stagger minutes so DeRozan is the first starter to sub out and then comes back on to run with the second unit. If they can have the best of both worlds while not taking a step back defensively, the Kings should stay in the mix for a top 8 spot in the West. Ben, do you believe that the Kings have improved from last season, as they were a 10 or 9 seed last year? They currently have them as an 8 seed in the Western Conference power ranking. A, do you think the Kings have gotten better this year? And B, do you think DeMar DeRozan will be a complicated fit here in Sacramento?
Number one, yeah, I think they improved a lot.
Yeah.
I also think that, I mentioned that I thought that the Warriors underachieved last year. I think the Kings underachieved a little bit last year. Now, they played well in stretches, but, I covered a lot of the games for the AP at home, and they lost to a lot of bad teams. And I don't know where that inconsistency came from.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they can find a way to just take care of their business against bad teams this year.
The Pistons of the world, the Hornets
that alone, can give them an extra 4 or 5 games in the standings. But no, I think adding DeMar DeRozan, it might be a complicated fit at first, but I trust Mike Brown and the coaching staff. And DeRozan's a guy who's a veteran. I think he can adapt his game however he needs to. I think they improved a lot because you talked about those fourth quarter, those clutch games.
Yeah.
You've got De'Aaron Fox, who's obviously a clutch player and takes over in the fourth. Having a guy like DeMar DeRozan, having a second guy who is really good in those situations too, can't hurt. The question is, how long will it take for those guys to gel together and be able to play together? But no, I like it a lot. I mean, when you look at the pieces Kings have now with Fox and DeRozan and Sabonis still, I think that they're a lot better than 8th in the West. What about you?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think I would have them above Golden State right now, just with the offseason that both teams
100%
have had. I think it's tough when you start to talk about the Pelicans of the world, because you and I both know how that went last year, right?
Just the Kings and the Pelicans, it might be bad. Yeah, if you took the Pelicans off the schedule, the Kings might have had
They might have been a 55 win.
Maybe they're due to beat the Pelicans this
Maybe
year.
that's a great way of looking at it. That might be how I approach that matchup for the entirety of next year is, hey, y'all beat us 6 times. The law of averages here says there's no way that you guys are going to continue to dominate us like that, especially when they're relatively even teams. I think that's the thing that frustrated so many people about that Pelicans matchup last year is just it wasn't like, oh, yeah, they're the Celtics. Yeah, they're better than us. Of course, we lose to them a ton. It felt like you can maybe nitpick here and there, but it felt like for the most part, those were 2 even teams that just one had their number.
And it was so weird too, because there was like the circle of teams. Because the Kings dominated the Lakers last year.
Killed them. Yes.
And I think the Lakers dominated the Pelicans.
Yes. Yeah.
Matchups, man.
It's
the NBA
so
is such an interesting league.
Yeah, it's so strange. And I think that's why when we do have conversations like we had earlier of where do you have the Warriors slated, all these teams realistically fall from this 10 to hypothetically as high as like 3 or 4 in the Western Conference. That's how good it is. That's how deep it is. And there's so many surprises. I mean, I know Memphis as well.
And you can see, we might see someone take come out of nowhere, sort of the way the Thunder did last year. I don't think anyone
Minnesota
thought the Thunder,
too. Yeah.
Minnesota. I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to see the Kings do that. We saw 2 years ago, the Kings won the division. They were the 3 seed. I could see that happening again this season.
I don't see. Yeah, I mean, there's. I was going to say I don't see why not. There's a tons of reasons why not.
But there's certainly a realistic possibility.
Absolutely, 100%. And I think in general, as we talk about DeMar DeRozan, I've said it a ton of times. I think a ton of people have said it, but I think there could be a bit of underrating going on with DeMar DeRozan, where Kings fans again were so much anticipating a Lauri Markanen, a Brandon Ingram, a Kyle Kuzma, that when you get a surprise out of nowhere like DeMar, it's almost like, well, I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't properly getting hyped for DeMar DeRozan. And now with it being such a surprise, maybe Kings fans just again, and not just Kings fans, actually, fans across the entire NBA just aren't fully aware of the impact DeMar DeRozan's going to have as, again, in the key departures, they have Harrison Barnes in there. And, of course, HB is going to be missed here in Sacramento, but it's just naive for a lot of people out there to say that DeMar DeRozan isn't a massive upgrade over a guy like Harrison Barnes, and that's no disrespect to HB at all.
No, DeRozan's
great pro.
Yeah, and DeRozan's just a star.
It's incredible.
I mean, we saw it. I think the national media would recognize it at times when he got hot last year. The last couple of years, really, with the Bulls. I mean, especially in those fourth quarters, he's clutch.
Ridiculous.
But I mean, he's a legitimate star. He's a guy who's averaged 24 points a game or
6-time
better.
All-Star.
The last few years, and I think he's still really playing at a high level.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait to see him and De'Aaron Fox play out there. You mentioned the clutch. I mentioned the clutch moments. I think them, like you said, though, there is going to be a bit of an adjustment period, I think, for a couple weeks there of them trying to figure out, hey, your ball, my ball, your turn, my turn.
Yeah.
And then Malik Monk as well is going to have a bit of a say in that as well. So it's probably going to be a little bit of a bumpy start for them, but I think at some point it's just going to be additive, and I'm sure they're going to figure it out. And again, they were 20-19 in clutch situations last year. You would assume with 2 of the best clutch players in the NBA, that probably goes up. Coming up next, the Kings, they are not a perfect team, and they still have a roster spot in which they could utilize. We look at Evan Sittery's best remaining free agents, and we see if any of those names get us excited as a possible addition for the Sacramento Kings. We talk about that next and more right here on Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for American Energy Heating and Air with a question. Have you recently had a technician diagnose your HVAC system? And you were a bit surprised at how much it cost? Or did something seem off about their quote? Because at American Energy, they take pride in giving you honest, straightforward solutions to get that system up and running. Have their qualified technicians come out and give you a free second opinion. It's free. You got nothing to lose but some dollars off of that original quote. They're making the uncomfortable comfortable. They've been doing it since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's why they keep having customers coming back for more and more and more. You can call them and set that appointment at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sacktown Sports.
Stiles and Watkins. Chris Watkins in with Ben Ross. Alan Stiles held down the morning as he will all week long, filling in for Carmichael, Dave, and Jason Ross, who are on vacay. They are both, Jason's in Hawaii and Dave, I believe, is in London right now. I can't keep track of it. I know. I'm like, what is vacation?
Be there.
Guys? Must be nice. Yeah.
What's your vacation? Yeah.
Still trying to figure that out, Ben. Still trying to cross the T's and dot the I's on that one. But I'll get a vacation at some point. They assure me. At some point here we'll get a break. Whitey Gleason as well is on vacation, not with Jason Ross, but they are both in Hawaii as well. So definitely hoping that both of those two are enjoying their vacation. And I hope Dave brings me something back. He promised he would bring something back. So hoping that Dave doesn't show up empty-handed like he does most of the time. But we are going to get into, speaking of being left empty-handed, there's a good chance here that we don't acquire any of these guys and do just continue to go into the regular season with an empty roster spot that could be filled via trade. It could be filled with a veteran free agent down the line. But the question I ask is, should the Kings make another move in free agency? The Kings do have an open roster spot in which they can keep open to sign or trade for somebody during the season. I think that's currently the plan, as they like Monty McNair always speaks on roster flexibility and keeping his options open. Evan Siddery of I believe Forbes put out a list of the best remaining free agents. And Ben, I can't lie to you. We are. It's not that I've heard of all of these guys, but honestly, to be honest, I don't think any of them really are going to get any of us excited. We're talking about veteran minimum players here, but let's go down the list here of Evan Siddery's best available free agents. You have Isaac Okoro of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I believe he's a restricted free agent, so even if you did like that name, that's going to be one that's tough to acquire. You got Markelle Fultz, who's coming off of a good stint out there in Orlando, but still trying to figure things out. Lonnie Walker, who's been a name that some people like, but really, he only shows up in spurts. I think a lot of people still think of him in that Warriors series, him having that one game where
Game
he went
4,
off.
whatever it was,
that put away the Warriors. I think a lot of people view fondly of that game, but don't really think a lot about Lonnie in the long term. You had Jetty Osman, who I think is a name that a lot of Kings fans have brought up in the past. He's kind of a versatile forward that the Kings don't really have right now. As we know, their front court is lacking a bit. Talen Horton-Tucker, who I saw had a report yesterday that he has just about no interest from any NBA teams reaching out on THT. Dennis Smith Jr., O'Shea Brissett, Doug McDermott, Jay Crowder, Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, and Davis Bertans. That is a list of names for you, Ben. It's not a list of superstars. It is not a list of different makers.
I can tell you what,
there's a bunch of players who play in the NBA.
Yeah, of all the free agents out there, those are certainly some of them.
Yeah, those are some names. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that any of those names really do much for the Kings in terms of improving their overall outlook on anything. But there has been a lot of talk in general, more so after the DeRozan trade, about the roster balance. I've not heard this term used so prevalently before these, past month or so. Everybody has been bringing up the roster imbalance, I guess. Ben, just in general, do you see that as well with just an influx of guards and then the forwards, really? Keegan Murray, you have Trey Lyles, you have Sabonis, you have Len. They trade for Jalen McDaniels. Not really much else at the forward spot besides those guys. Do you feel like the Kings should prioritize bringing in a forward or a big?
Honestly, I don't think they necessarily need to. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Yeah. I mean, the forwards that you did name, we've seen basketball move to a place where a lot of teams like to go small. Now, obviously, it depends what the matchups look like and who you're playing. I mean, I think part of the reason that this team really struggled against the Pelicans last year is they just didn't have much size at wing.
Yeah.
But, I think I like, bringing in DeMar DeRozan, I think that can be the move.
Yeah.
Right. And then I don't mind having that empty roster space. If you, see how the team looks as constructed right now. I kind of like the what did you call it? The roster breakdown, the
imbalance,
the balance, all of that. I mean, I don't think that that's nearly as big of a deal as it used to be, where, in the old days you'd say, oh yeah, you need more size.
Yes.
I don't think that's necessarily the way that the game is anymore.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really interesting point for sure. I think when you look at this Kings team, I mean, DeRozan's more than likely going to play the 3. You're going to have Keegan at the 4. You're going to have Sabonis at the 5.
I think that lineup.
I think Trey Lyles is a good enough 4-5 to where he can play at either position.
Yeah.
It's clearly, like I said, he's had a rough summer and he had a rough season last year. But I think even an average season for Trey Lyles is a season that is good enough. He's going to be your 7th or 8th man coming off the bench. I think he's good enough. Alex Len, I think, had an incredibly underrated season last year. I have no problem with him as the backup center. I know a lot of people feel like, especially with Robert Williams rumors poking up last week, a lot of people are clamoring maybe for another backup center. I think Alex Len does perfectly fine.
I like Alex Len too. I mean, I think if anything, maybe if you can bring in a defender, a shot blocker, a rim protector.
Yes,
but
sure.
I think Alex Len is perfectly fine as well. And I think Sabonis doesn't get enough credit as a defensive player.
He really doesn't, no, especially not for his effort. And, I always bring up, like, fixating on a backup center gets you no good, because in the playoffs, Domantas Sabonis is going to play 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to play 40 minutes.
He's not coming off the court.
He's not
unless
coming
he's
off
in
the
foul.
court. Exactly.
Foul trouble's the one concern with him.
And it's real. Yeah, it's
and
definitely
hopefully
a real thing.
I mean, that's the one part of his game I'd like to see him really work on.
Absolutely, and he's not getting a lot of favors on that end either, because
I'm sure you've talked about.
Yeah, you're just sending people at him, and at some point it's like, yeah, I mean, I'm not a natural rim protector, but, he can hold his own and he can force tough shots. I think last year he did a great job with his verticality. I mean, coaches, I feel like every elementary and high school coach in America can put on Domantas Sabonis tape and say, this is how you defend vertically. This is how you use verticality in your favor. And, Domantas Sabonis, you could say he's got credit card hops, but he uses them well. And he's a very, very smart player and knows how to at least get away with some of his defensive deficiencies. Of course, like you said, we can definitely use some rim protection, but it does feel like much has been made of the Kings roster imbalance. And I'm not going to say that they're wrong necessarily, but I do agree with you that I think it's been a bit overblown, and you can make in today's NBA, you can definitely make it work with the guys that the Kings have. But there are some additions that this roster can definitely make to take them to a next level. I just don't think it's going to be via free agency at this point in the offseason. We were talking about the Golden State Warriors earlier in the show, and we're going to dive back in to the team out in the Bay Area, because there's already reports on where the Warriors are going to shift their attention now that Lauri Markanen is presumptively off the books. We talk about that next right here. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
The Sacramento Kings play here.
He's got the triple. Sacramento takes the lead. Outstanding ball movement by Sacramento.
Every triple, every jam, every Kings win.
Sabonis with the jam over the Joker. He's got the three-point shot.
Get your Kings fix all season long.
Right here on your home of the Sacramento
Here's
Kings.
a steal by Fox, the breakaway. He's got the rip with the left hand.
Sacktown Sports and SacktownSports.com.
Let's face it, nothing makes you look older than you really are than thinning hair. But what if you could not only increase your hair count, but promote new hair growth without surgery, without drugs with potential side effects, and without a prescription from your doctor? Well, now you can, thanks to a breakthrough new supplement called Hair Grow, provided by New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Europe. Hair Grow is now available in the U.S. Only Hair Grow contains Tocogaya, a powerful antioxidant that has received a U.S. patent. Multiple clinical studies show Hair Grow is safe and effective in promoting new hair growth. In one study, 95% of the patients using Hair Grow saw increased hair count. Don't lose more time and more hair. Try Hair Grow today to feel and look your best. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS. Look younger and feel more confident with Hair Grow by New Nordic at NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
Sacramento, Dierks Bentley's coming to town. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo for Country in the Park 2. And he's bringing some friends. Harmony, Tyler Rich, Dasha, Kelsey Hart, and more. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by RVs of Sacramento and Public Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center.
It's better over here. If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch.
With AutoPay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $300 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
I'm a very active person that likes to move around and go. The pain I was in was really excruciating. It was actually debilitating. I was basically heading towards a sedentary lifestyle. I had really tried everything, but I quickly lost hope with all of the things that we had tried, and that's what led me to the Good Feet store. And when I found the Good Feet system, it really just changed everything. It brought me back to life. I have my active lifestyle back.
The Good Feet Store in Sacramento, Roseville, and Vacaville.
Hi, Michael Dave here for Capital Casino. Sacramento summertime heat is back. And, of course, Cap Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, wants to invite everyone to soak up some air conditioning, still with the most variety of table games in the region. And, as always, the best food, best service, and the best action, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. Capital Casino, of course, reminding everyone to please make sure you gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Sacktown Sports. Check us out on YouTube. Search Sacktown Sports and subscribe.
Stiles and Watkins. Again, you can hear Alan Stiles in the morning filling in for Carmichael Dave and Jason Ross. You hear myself, Chris Watkins, all week in the middays. I believe Brendan Nunez will be joining me the rest of this week, but today we have the one and only Ben Ross, who's been holding it down, and he hasn't gotten any Brandon Aiyuk news yet, but I'm feeling like there's just a little bit too much smoke going around, and something tells me something in
It's
these
coming.
next 2 hours.
It feels
is gonna
like it's
happen.
coming.
Come on.
Yeah.
This is that prime time, right?
This
of
is usually
these
when they
deals
practice
happen.
too, right, Nate?
They should be there, right? So Emil was supposed to be there
He
today.
was, yeah, he was telling
but the
me.
train there was a
There was
strike
an
in Fresno.
incident.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I could, speaking of Emil, speaking of the 49ers,
Yes, please plug.
Shameless plug
Please,
here.
not shameless at all.
Sackdown Sports, Return of the Empire's back. Me and Emil, we're not doing live shows this year because it's just a little too difficult for me personally.
Schedules are
because it's tough to do a midday and then come back 6 p.m. For 25 weeks.
Great point.
When you
put it like that.
Yeah, that's all I was going through. So I love doing the live show. It's great, but our first podcast is up of the season. We did one over summer, but this is kind of the first official one previewing the season, and we're looking forward to hopefully getting the Super Bowl this year.
We'll see.
Getting Devontae Adams, as we were just talking about in the break.
Yeah, we'll see.
I really
we'll
liked Ben's take of the Amari Cooper
I like your take. I like Devontae Adams even better.
Yeah. But Ben, do you think it would just be a straight up like Devontae for Aiyuk, or do you think?
I think the Niners would probably need to throw in some draft picks.
I think the same thing. Every time I talk with my Raider fans about this, my Raider fan friends about this, I keep saying that I think the Niners actually have to throw in more,
like a fourth or something, right?
Yeah,
or
like a mid-round
yeah.
pick,
Yeah.
maybe. I mean, yeah, I think Devontae Adams at this point is a little bit more established as a superstar than Brandon Aiyuk. But that's an interesting thought.
I think
that could be a win-win for both teams.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think that's the most win-win for both teams. I mean, the Raiders obviously get a younger receiver, maybe somebody who fits more with their quarterback to be, whoever that is. I think we're going to get into that at some point today as well. The Raiders cannot decide or do not want to decide on who's going to be their quarterback for this season, but they're clearly going to have some sort of shift at quarterback moving forward. That makes sense to bring in Brandon Aiyuk for a guy like that, whoever that may be. And then, Devontae Adams is definitely the more ready now player, especially if you're trying to win a Super Bowl. And that's the thing that Devontae hasn't done yet. Or no, he did. He did win a Super Bowl with the Packers, if I'm not mistaken. He was on that squad still. But he hasn't been there in a while, and I would imagine he's pretty hungry for it.
Ben, have you covered – I know you're doing some work in the Bay Area now. You've been here a bunch. Have you covered both the Raiders and Niners?
I don't think I've really covered the Raiders. They were – maybe from the outside. The Niners for sure.
Yeah.
I've been at Niners camp in previous years. Yeah, so I'm around the 49ers. The Raiders, maybe before they left for Vegas, like a very little bit, but it's been a while.
Yeah. I was just curious if what the differences between covering the two franchises were, if you've had a kind of a taste of both.
Yeah, it's been so long. I feel like maybe back when I was an intern, I did some Raiders stuff when they were still in Alameda, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
That's definitely an interesting organization.
Yeah.
I feel like it's similar to the Giants and A's dynamic when the Raiders were still here. Although the A's are a much more clear second fiddle in the Bay Area.
Yeah, for sure.
The Raiders obviously
they're a brand.
The
Raiders are a
unique
brand.
fan base, right? Raider Nation. But it was still kind of it felt different. I don't know. They still felt kind of secondary in the Bay Area. But you're right, they're their own brand.
Yeah, definitely. And, just from afar, I went to a Raider camp once a long time ago. And I think, I still haven't, I've yet to been to a Niners camp yet, but
you can't take days off. So
no,
that's the
especially
problem.
not anymore.
But
yeah. I will say just in general, the one thing that definitely stood out the minute I stepped on the training camp field was, and I'd only covered really basketball at this point, the amount of money is just so prevalent to me. It's just like the grass is so clean.
Yeah.
The amount of the pads are all brand new, the sleds, just everything. It's just like, wow, this is clean. And you could tell that there's just such an investment. And this was just the Raiders, their Napa training facility, not even like their main facility. So that was really the one thing just in general that stuck out to me when I covered NFL is there's a lot of money in this
money
thing.
is different.
Quite
I don't know
if
you've been able to cover games at Levi's Stadium, but
no, not covered.
Yeah, I have.
Have you? I mean that
culture shock.
when you that press box and the food that they provide.
Are you telling me we're not getting halftime hot dogs like we do with the Golden Woods?
Chris, it's like gourmet.
The juxtaposition between going to a Kings game as media, and it's just because of the money, right? Like I'm not trying to slight the Kings. There's 41 games to do at home, right?
There's 8.
So the Niners. I've said this before, but if we're gonna get into it, they give you a full ice cream like thing at like a liquor store with just like popsicles, all that stuff, a whole candy wall, and then they just have chefs just cooking constantly. At the end, they bring you pizza.
What? It's amazing.
Yeah, it's honestly it's wild, but the money is so different.
And I won't even knock the NBA because like the Kings and the Warriors, I've covered both of them, and they're food is fine. The medium meal is fine.
Yeah. There's some
what
places
else?
that make you pay for.
I was going to say it's free.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah,
that.
the A's
Baseball,
made the A's
MLB, and I thought it was just an A's thing at first. The Giants too. I think they're expensive. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I guess it's the number of games in Major League Baseball. You got 81, but it's like they make you pay.
Even the River Cats have given us food.
Yes, they have.
Great
River
for
Cats
free.
River
Cats are
no problem.
I got to start covering more River
You
Cats
do.
games.
I'm telling you.
I've got to
They've
get
got
closer
no problem.
in the last year, like do more River Cat stuff, and they're
great.
fantastic organization. It's kind of crazy.
It's great.
Not that, I hope I don't sound like I'm shilling for the River Cats, but it's true.
I'm just gonna say the only reason I cover games and sports is for the food.
Yeah,
so,
right there with
feed me. No,
well,
it'll make me write nice things about you for sure. Let me tell you, one Golden State too. They offer post-game beverages. That's all.
So I didn't want to say it, but Levi does too. Yeah, I didn't want to. I didn't know.
It's a really, really good incentive there. If you want your writers to write good stuff about you.
What's cool about Chase too is, I mean, not as media, but if you're if you're just a fan, they have those soda machines on the wall.
Yes,
that is like that would be like a deal breaker for like that's awesome. I wish more places did that. So I know Atlanta has all the cheap stuff. The
I saw
Falcons
that. You can get like $20 and you can get like a tenders, you can get a dog, you can get pizza, I think you can get a soda.
That's great.
And like fries all for $20 in Atlanta. I'm like,
more of that.
Goodness. Yeah, please.
More of that, please.
It might lead to higher ticket prices, but I honestly think it's worth it.
Well, I mean, that's probably.
And don't get me started on
Levi.
Levi's their concessions.
It's okay, but not for the
bring
price.
out a loan is what you better get that loan ready for some concessions instead of your car, because they are not messing around at Levi's.
Installments.
Yeah, you really have to for like $30 for like
they
a hot
check your
dog
credit score. They run your credit. Yeah,
absolutely.
It takes a hit.
Insane.
It's tough. Levi, I mean, Levi was voted right next to Golden One Center as one of the worst stadiums in the league. Right? They were both bottom 10.
Yep.
It's surprised the Golden One Center being so low surprised me because I love the Golden One. I like it more than Chase.
I do too.
In San Francisco.
I do too. I think Chase is a blown out version of it. Like it's definitely bigger. You can maybe say it's just like aesthetically nicer, but it's a freaking rat maze downstairs. I don't know if you've ever been downstairs at Chase Center.
Yeah.
Golden One Center is just a perfect loop.
Yeah.
Chase Center, you feel like you got to go left and then go through these doors and then make sure you say coming through as you push through those doors. And it's it's just an absolute mess down there.
Before we get to break, Ben, I want to ask you, we've had this conversation on this show a few times between me, Chris, and Alan. What is the best stadium you've ever been to? And maybe the worst too, if you have one.
That's a good question.
Either as a fan or media.
As a fan or as media.
Have you checked off a good bit of stadiums?
Honestly, no. I'm embarrassed at how small my list is.
You're pretty West Coast centric.
Yeah,
stadiums.
There's a lot of teams here.
There are. I'd say, like, when it comes to baseball, I've probably been to like 7 or 8 stadiums. So
good bit.
Maybe a quarter, a quarter of them. Yeah, I mean, the ones I've been to, it's probably a pretty popular pick, but I got, the Giants ballpark, Oracle Park.
I still haven't been.
It's incredible. It's just so pretty. And the press box in particular is great there because it's so low. Most ballparks and places, you're at the very top.
Right.
At Oracle Park in San Francisco, the press box is almost like lower level. Like it's at the top of the low level.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing view.
I'm sure you get the full scope, right, of everything. Yeah,
totally. I'll tell you what, though, like I feel like when you talk about worst, I actually don't mind the Coliseum in Oakland. I know it takes a lot
either. It's homey.
Yeah, it's old, but it's like that's what I remember stadiums being. And I like it's got a great vibe. Not so much anymore because they've intentionally tried to ruin it, I think. But Yeah, shout out to the Coliseum. Trying to think, like, I don't really like Chase for whatever reason. Yeah. Chase Center just feels cramped to me, and like there's just not a whole lot of space, and it's tough to get around. I don't love Chase. I like Golden One Center a lot. When it comes to baseball, I've been up to Seattle. Seattle's a great ballpark.
I hear that's wonderful. Yeah. The what is that? T-Mobile Park.
T-Mobile now. Yeah. For a while it was Safeco.
Yes.
It's always hard to keep track.
Yeah. Did you like Levi's? Because Levi's to me feels a little soulless. Is the word that I feel. Yeah, it's just kind of out there.
Yeah, Levi's I'm kind of like neutral on. I think it's okay.
Yeah,
it's not great.
That's where I stand too. Like right in the middle. I think it gets too much hate, but also doesn't deserve a bunch of love either.
Yeah, I think it's like average. I think it's fine.
Isn't great.
It helps when the team is good because when it was first built, the team was bad for every season until 2019. Right. So it's nice that the team is like getting better, and I think that helps build like an aura around the stadium.
Sure. I finally just got to SoFi for the first time.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing.
That place is amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, when people talk about it, it's the architecture there is incredible.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hear nothing but amazing things about SoFi. I definitely need to get out there. And then Levi's is just it's a tough one for me. I get kind of that, like they said, it feels like it needs the team to be good, but it just doesn't. It's kind of like
it's like a personality to it. It's like its own soul.
It also has the same problem as Hughes Stadium out here in Sacramento, where there's a sun side and there's a shade side, and if you're in the sun side, good luck. Good luck, especially on that third, fourth deck.
I would not do well there.
No, I was there once for a soccer game, and I will never go that high or on that sun side ever again. We had to blow through the Warriors segment on that one, but we will get back to it on this segment. Again, the Warriors shifting their attention to a new, I guess I wouldn't say a new player, but this is somebody who we have not heard the Warriors having interest in the past. We will talk about that next right here on Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Subscribe to Sacktown Sports on YouTube and watch the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys. Live Monday through Friday from 6 to 6. Plus view archive shows and exclusive content.
Subscribe at youtube.com/Sacktown Sports.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
School is almost here, and if there's two things I can count on, it's my kids needing new outfits because they grow like weeds, and Kohl's stocking their favorite styles. With the back-to-school customer appreciation event going on, I scored 30% off tees, jeans, sneakers, and more when I shopped with a Kohl's card. No card? No problem. Rewards members save 20%, and everyone else saves 15%, plus earn Kohl's cash. When it comes to back to school, you gotta go back to Kohl's. Select styles. Some exclusions apply. Offer ends August 11th. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Jason Mraz and the Super Band. Live. The mystical, magical, rhythmical, radical ride. Friday, August 9th. The venue at Thunder Valley. Jason Mraz and the Super Band with special guest Molly Miller Trio. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. Jason Mraz and the Super Band in concert. Pick up the new album, Mystical, Magical, Rhythmical, Radical Ride.
If your passion is bass fishing, only one radio show has the action, information, and excitement of your favorite outdoor sport. Ultimate Bass, hosted by Tournament Bass Pro and California Outdoor Hall of Famer Kent Brown, takes you live to where the fish are biting every Saturday morning. Only Ultimate Bass feeds your passion with the latest news, products, tips, and advice from the pros. Ultimate Bass with Kent Brown, Saturday mornings at 5 a.m. on Sacktown Sports 1140, part of SEP's Saturday Morning Outdoors.
Labor Day savings now at Maida Chevy with $12,000 off MSRP on every new Silverado half-ton Turbo Max in stock after rebates.
$12,000 off every Silverado LT Turbo Max at Maida Chevy with at least 5 at this price.
Labor Day savings up to $12,000 off MSRP exclusively at Maida Chevy at MaidaChevy.com. Sacramento Silverado headquarters. Together, let's drive.
Not available with special financing, lease, and summer offers. Must trade in 2010 model year or newer. Ends 9/3/24.
Made a great deal at Maida.
Hi, this is Greg Papa. Disasters hit every day. If your home, business, or building has suffered from any disaster, SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to and letting your focus be on what's most important, your family or your business. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjustment.
Stiles and Watkins, Chris Watkins and Ben Ross bringing you up till 2 p.m. when the Drive guys take over. Kyle Draper is in, I know. Whitey is obviously on vacation for the week. He's out in Hawaii with Jason Ross. Can't imagine what those two would be doing together on vacation. Yeah.
We need a live stream or something. They need to be blogging or vlogging.
Yes, that's what we should make them do, is make them work on their vacation. I would absolutely love to see that. I would love a Whitey and Jason Ross vlog to see what they get up to on their spare time and their vacation. And those are just two of the greatest people I've ever met. So just to see them having a great time in Hawaii, good on those two. And like I said, Dave, you better bring back something from your trip because you've been way too many places and you've messed around and asked us for our sizes. So now we expect something on your return. I believe both Jason and Dave, or one of Jason and Dave. I know one of them will be back on Monday. I'm pretty sure both will, but stay tuned for that. So stay locked in right here, Sacktown Sports 1140, to see when apparently everybody gets back to work. And I do want to pay off this tease real quick and talk about the Warriors shifting from Lauri Markannen to somebody else. But who is that somebody else? One anonymous NBA executive told Heavy.com writer Sean Devini Friday that they believe the Warriors can pursue Washington Wizards center Jonas Valanciunas if Lauri Markannen is unattainable. The Knicks, this is a quote, he said, "The Knicks will see how their center spot develops. The Warriors will be interested if the Markannen thing does not work out," the executive told Devini. The Lakers had been most frequently connected with Valanciunas, but LA has also been reluctant to give up either of its tradable draft picks. If and when Valanciunas hits the market, there figures to be ample competition. Yesterday, in his article, Jake Fisher wrote, if Markannen waits to sign his new deal until Wednesday or later, Markannen won't become eligible to be traded this upcoming 24 season. He will not be eligible to be traded for 6 months after his agreement in accordance with the new collective bargaining agreement, which would fall one day after the February 6th trade deadline. And then Shams Charania this morning dropped the Shams bomb, if you will, saying, in the last several days, the Warriors have been resigned that a Markannen long-term extension in Utah is a foregone conclusion, team sources said. No team met the Jazz enormous value for their centerpiece forward, and rival executives understood the only way Utah would consider a proposal was if it was overwhelming. The Warriors have 14 players under contract for next season and feel comfortable entering training camp and the regular season as currently constructed, a team source tells Shams Charania, though they are expected to explore smaller scale deals more actively than this typical in August and September. The Warriors' final offer for Lauri Markannen, and Alan talked about this morning, no Brandon Podziemski, no Jonathan Kuminga. It was Moses Moody, multiple first-round picks, pick swaps, and a second rounder. The Golden State Warriors refused to throw in Brandon Podziemski. The Warriors maintain control of all but one of their future first-round picks. A 2030 top 20 pick is outgoing to Washington, plus a younger quartet of Pajemski, Trace Jackson-Davis, Moody, and Kuminga, providing flexibility and ammunition to be an aggressive buyer all the way through February's deadline. They've shown no appetite to enter the Zach LaVine or Brandon Ingram markets. Ben, do you think that a Jonas Valanciunas addition possibly for the Golden State Warriors is good enough to satiate their championship desires?
I don't think that necessarily makes them a championship contender in my mind, but I do think it would be a big pickup. I like Valanciunas a lot on both ends of the floor, and I actually do think he's the kind of guy that would help Golden State.
Big body.
Yeah, we talked about the Kings lacking, size and forward depth and center depth. I think that's certainly an area that the Warriors could use and upgrade, and another big body. And I mean, Valanciunas is more than just a big body. He's a really skilled player.
Very.
So I think you would help them a lot. I don't see him as taking them to championship level. I think they, they're a superstar away, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've got Steph Curry pieces, and some pieces, but they're like an established superstar still, I think, away from being a legitimate title contender. So, but at the same time, I think that would move them maybe into the top half of the Western Conference.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, like you said, Valanciunas is a really good piece. He's a good center, averaged 12 points a game, 8 rebounds last season, shot 55% from the field. I mean, Kings fans saw plenty of him when he was with New Orleans. He is a really big problem. Like he is, like you said, he's not just a big body. No. He's actually really skilled. He's better than your typical, Yusuf Nurkic. He's more skilled than a guy like that, where you can legitimately ISO him, post him up, and you can run a couple plays through him. And I think Golden State hasn't really had a center like that. Maybe, strangely enough, since like DeMarcus Cousins, funny enough. But yeah, I think Valanciunas can be a really good addition to that team. It's just a matter of if that's enough. I think they'll like the fact he played all 82 games last season, 79 in the season prior to that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's good, but it's not good enough when it comes to Golden State and what they really need to add to this team to make it worth Steph Curry's time.
And a bonus point is he's Travis Kelce's doppelganger.
Yeah,
so
you get the marketing dollars working.
Taylor Swift into showing up at a game.
Yeah, you had fake Clay, right? You can get fake Travis Kelce out there. You can have the whole fake squad, and that'd be anything to bring in the tickets after you lose the spot.
The question is, does fake Clay go to Dallas now? Wasn't he? He was like kind of banned, I think, because he snuck into Chase Center.
Yes, he like made a whole YouTube video that I definitely watched.
I wonder if he tries again in Dallas.
Why not? You're only banned there. You're only banned at Chase Center. Why not give it a go and see test securities all across the NBA? There's no way that's going to end up poorly for him.
I can't see how that would.
Yeah, but
be a problem.
when you're at the point where you're being an imposter for an NBA player, you probably. Well, I'm not going to disrespect him on the airways, but you probably just don't have a lot going on.
Respect fake Clay.
I will try to.
Legend.
I will try to. There was also a fake James Harden that was walking around Golden One Center, I think, a couple of years ago. Ben, we mentioned earlier in the show, you were actually on site yesterday in Oakland in the Coliseum to witness a piece of history, I guess. Seeing the A's beat the White Sox, putting the White Sox losing streak up to 21 games. What was the environment like at the game? I mean, as we talk about, press boxes and things like that, what was the mood like in the press box? And then I don't know if you had a chance to go into that White Sox locker room, into the clubhouse.
Pre and post game. What
does that feel like?
It's depressing. I'm not going to lie. I felt and I was surprised how many Chicago beat writers were there on the trip. Maybe it's the fact that it's history, not the good kind.
Yeah, you probably haven't had a lot to write about from that team this year.
I felt for them because they're in there every day, and I'm like, I'm feeling awkward in there just once, and I'm like, this. I mean, it felt kind of like the movie Major League when Cleveland couldn't win a game, and it was sad. But you know what? Credit to those guys. Like when I was writing for the AP, and a lot of the time when I don't cover a team like the White Sox, except when they come to town, pre and post game, like I'll ask questions, but I like to let the regulars kind of have first crack at it because they're the guys that cover the team every day, the men and the women, and they know the players, they know the manager. So I like to give them the first crack at some of the questions. And like to their credit, they didn't duck away from the tough questions, even though they're asking every day, like, It's now 21
19,
straight
20,
losses. Yeah.
21.
And so, but yeah, I mean, it was tough. I give their team credit, the White Sox, because, you know, all the players and manager that we talked to, they were respectful and they answered the questions, and you can tell it's not fun. I mean, I think it's embarrassing for them. I think it's depressing. It's, but not, I was telling you, I'm covering the game again tomorrow for the AP, which if they lose today and tomorrow, that'd be 23 straight losses, which would tie the all-time or the modern era Major League
1901
record since 1900, basically. Yeah. So part of me is kind of hoping that they get that win today and put an end to that streak. So it's a little bit happier, but yeah, it was a depressing place to be last night.
Did you follow did you cover the A's last season as they were kind of going through?
Yeah. I mean,
how did it compare with how last season's attitude kind of was?
That's a great question. And I think it was similar because I mean, early on, especially last
early
year,
on. Yeah. When they were on pace to break the Cleveland Spiders,
which the White Sox are sort of on that pace right now. I think they're on pace for 124 losses, which again would break the modern era record of the 62 Mets. Yeah. No, it's similar. And that was one of the questions that I think it was Steve Kroner of the San Francisco Chronicle asked both managers, which I thought was a great question. Like, he asked Mark Kotsay of the A's, like, what advice, you kind of went something
on the other
similar,
side of it to an extent.
Went through something similar last year, and now, they're still not a good team this year, but we've talked about they're playing a lot better. They've been good since the beginning of July. What's sort of the message you would give to the White Sox about getting through this and breaking through to the other side? And same thing, to the White Sox manager, Pedro Grifol. Can you take something from what the A's went through, and now they're starting to see signs of taking that next step?
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, the one thing that those teams have in common is terrible ownership.
Yeah.
And it's sad because a few years ago they were in the playoffs against each other in 2020, one of the COVID years. And
that's right.
They both looked like they had bright futures, and now look at them both toward the bottom of the league. And for the White Sox, maybe setting the kind of history they don't want to set.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. It is a really interesting juxtaposition between the two teams, and it is a little bit fitting that, that the A's can play a part in the White Sox potentially making history for all the wrong reasons. We'll definitely get a little bit more into that as well. I have some other questions about just like what does losing at that level, not that we here in Sacramento don't kind of understand it, but what does losing at that level just do to your organization, and what have you seen that makes you feel like they can maybe get out of it? Or is that just something that they're going to be stuck with because of, like you said, the ownership situation, which doesn't seem like it's changing anytime soon? So that is really fascinating stuff. And you can go read Ben's write-up on the AP of that game last night, and definitely check it out tomorrow, regardless of if the White Sox actually set history or not. Ben will be there for Wednesday's day game against the White Sox. Coming up next, we're going to talk about an NBA insider who has a question that I don't think any Sacramento Kings fan wants to even think about. What if De'Aaron Fox gets hurt next year? We'll talk about that next, right here on Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
What's the missing piece for the 49ers?
Which names will they add during free agency? Whether it's in season or off season, the coverage never stops. Get the latest 49ers news on Sacktown Sports at sacktownsports.com.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
The PGA Club fitters at the Hagan Oaks Player Performance Studio know that golf should be fun. They also know that players of all abilities will hit the ball farther and straighter, play better golf, shoot lower scores, and have more fun if they get fitted before they purchase golf clubs. Hagen Oaks delivers the same technology and major brands used to fit PGA and LPGA professionals. See how the game can be even more fun. Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
Sacramento, Dirks Bentley's coming to town. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo for Country in the Park 2. And he's bringing some friends. Parmalee, Tyler Rich, Dasha, Kelsey Hart, and more. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by RVs of Sacramento and Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
No look, Bibby to Weber, down the lane, flying jam. There's your play of the night right there. It's inside is Sabonis, a two-hand rip, a brilliant pass from De'Aaron Fox.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento.
Sacktown Sports. Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sacktown Sports.
Chris, Ben, I hate to interrupt you guys like this. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't
a
big deal.
All right.
It's not breaking news about Brandon Aiyuk.
okay.
No. We just had a caller.
Okay.
Literally, he wouldn't even give me his name, nothing, begging you to not talk about De'Aaron Fox getting hurt. He does not want the jinx. He called. He's freaking out. So I couldn't even get his name. And I was like, will you plead your case on the air? He said, no, just please, for the love of God, we can't have that. So I'm sure people are feeling like that right now. I just want you to know that before you get into this segment.
Okay.
So
I do appreciate it.
That's fair.
That's fair. I told you, Ben, people would find a way
Let's just say a
to get mad at me.
hypothetical, like De'Aaron Fox, foul trouble.
There you go.
That's
how you frame
for
it.
a few months.
For a few months.
Oh,
yes,
suspension,
exactly.
Ja Morant style.
We don't.
Maybe
we
for
don't
different purposes, but
purposes.
maybe
Yeah.
he's he's got a kid on the way. Maybe he takes a paternity leave. You know?
Yeah. Do NBA players get?
They don't.
That's a Carmichael Dave show question.
Definitely don't. Not like officially. I'm sure they are more than welcome to take it if they would like. But actually, funny enough, Nate, while you spurred it, De'Aaron did kind of catch some flack. I think it was when Rain was born. During that first Beam Team season, if I'm not mistaken, he was born when they were in Houston and De'Aaron missed a game, and fans did get upset at him, at least on social media. And I do remember De'Aaron's wife, like literally after labor or pre-labor, tweeting out, "Hey guys, let him be at the birth of his child, please."
Yeah.
Like, I mean, some things you would think he would not have to explain, but you always got to factor in for the lowest common denominator.
Social media, man.
It is
It's a game
absolutely
changer.
insane. Okay, well then we will not present this as what if De'Aaron Fox gets hurt. Thank you, Nate. By the way, it was worth an intrusion, if you will. But we will frame. I'm still actually going to frame it that way. I'm sorry, listener, but just cover your ears for when we.
What if
say
he's
it.
unavailable?
It's not even unavailable. There we go. We will not say
Busy.
hurt or anything like that. He's busy. Exactly. He's doing De'Aaron things.
Maybe he's going on the next space shuttle. I don't know.
Could happen. Let's see here. This is from Brett Siegel, friend of the show of Clutch Points. We've had Brett on quite a few times to talk about rumors and I think we also got his thoughts on the DeMar DeRozan signing and how that came to be. But this is, again, not my words. This is from Brett Siegel. What happens if De'Aaron Fox gets hurt? Cover your ears. This isn't a scenario that the Kings and their fans want to think about. Thank you, Brett. We just learned that. But teams around the league always need to have a contingency plan in place just in case their star player gets injured. The main problem is that in the event that Fox goes down, all the weight of the backcourt falls on the shoulders of Monk and Jordan McLaughlin, who the team signed from Minnesota in free agency this offseason. While McLaughlin is a very solid backup option, it is hard to envision the Kings leaning on him if things went south. Sacramento no longer has Davion Mitchell to lean on either after trading him to the Toronto Raptors. This is, again, all from Brett Siegel of Clutch Points, who writes, if Fox was to get hurt and miss time, Monk, Sabonis, and DeRozan would be the 3 players who facilitate the Kings offense. Is that good enough to enter the 24th season, especially given how competitive the West is? Perhaps we are reading a little bit too much into this, but with rookie Devin Carter likely to miss the whole year with a shoulder injury, that's an assumption. The Kings seem like a team that could really benefit from adding an experienced guard to their bench, which is hilarious, Ben, because as we just talked about, Kings fans will tell you the complete opposite, right? That they have enough guards, they have too many guards, and they need to add forward. So definitely interesting perspective there from Brett Siegel, friend of the show, saying that maybe the Kings aren't properly positioned to survive without De'Aaron Fox getting hurt. And before I get your thoughts on this, Ben, I just want to reiterate something I have said multiple times, and I would actually counter against Brett Siegel here, saying I actually think the Kings are more prepared now than ever to have a guy like De'Aaron Fox miss time. If my argument would be, if De'Aaron Fox misses time last year, it's all on Davion Mitchell, which is the same as what he's saying now with Malik Monk and McLaughlin. But you don't have that superstar that's able to step up and be a superstar. Maybe Malik can do that for a little bit. Maybe he can fill in for a week. But I think if De'Aaron missed time last year, the Kings completely, the bottom falls out for them. This season, it feels to me, if De'Aaron misses time, you have DeRozan to step up. You have Malik Monk who can step up and play point guard. It's Domantas Sabonis, obviously you know what he's going to bring. Ben, I'll ask you this. Is it fair for me to throw Keegan Murray into that list as well and say, that's another name where, especially in year 3, maybe not so much in year 2, but in year 3, I feel like it's fair to have the expectation for the number 4 pick from a couple years ago to say, yeah, if your star goes out, I would like to see Keegan Murray also step up into that spot as well.
I think it's totally fair. I mean, I think the Kings have a lot of good ball handlers on the team, and we've seen Malik Monk sort of step into that role. Definitely. Even last year, a few games, I'm just looking through his game log. Because I remember I covered a couple of games where I feel like he was double-digit assists and sort of running it, when Fox was either in foul trouble or something, kind of taking over that facilitator role. And, I even remember in one of the post-game press conferences, he was asked about that, and he's like, I've done that in college.
Yeah.
I've played that role before, and he's capable of it.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I think the Kings, I would agree with you that the Kings are in much better shape than they have been in previous years, just in terms of the depth that they've got. I think the other thing is, sure, injuries happen, but I don't think you can necessarily look at your roster and look at a season and sort of assume you can try to have depth, but you can't assume there's going to be an injury because every team's going to be in trouble if their best player gets hurt. That's just the way sports are right now. Like, you can't go into a season being like, what are we going to do if our best player's hurt? Well, you probably won't be as good. But that's why you do have backups, and the Kings, I think, do have a lot of other guards. Yeah, Malik Monk, I like. McLaughlin, Keon Ellis really stepped up. I know he's not a point guard, but he's a guy who can probably fill that void a little bit. And then you talk about a Sabonis who's, he's a unique player where he's the ultimate point forward. I'm not saying you need to let him run the point, but he's a guy who can facilitate the offense as well. So I think just the way, we were talking about it with DeMar DeRozan coming in, how maybe could that be a problem with how much the Kings move the ball, and DeRozan is sort of an ISO type guy. I mean, I think the ball movement and the style of offense the Kings runs sort of helps them if they were to lose a guy like Fox or for a game or whatever the case may be.
No, completely. I mean, we talk about the Kings, to your point, we talk about the Kings offense being an equal opportunity offense. It's not really like the DeRozans of the world are honestly kind of an anomaly for this Kings offense, where they really don't say, okay, this possession, we're just going to ISO Malik Monk and let you go to work. It's a lot of every possession, like you're saying, you give it to Sabonis, man and ball movement, everyone's running around. It's like a dance or something like that with everybody moving in orchestration. It definitely makes me feel like this team could survive. Now, of course, if De'Aaron's out for 2 months, that's a different conversation. No, like you said, but again, nobody's going to be able to plan or survive something like that. But if
Steph Curry is hurt, what are the Warriors going to do? They're going to struggle.
They're going to be with Utah pretty soon.
What are the Lakers going to do if LeBron's hurt? It's like the same thing, like they're superstars for a reason.
Absolutely.
You do the best you can to manage. And I think the bigger question is, what's the depth like to limit, not limit, but to put a little bit of a limit on De'Aaron Fox's minutes throughout the season and keep him fresh.
Load
and again, if
manage
he
a little.
manage, and if he gets, in foul trouble and certain, that's what you want to focus on. Like, how do we fill those minutes?
Right.
You don't necessarily worry about the injury.
Yeah, no, and I think that Devin Carter, I'm assuming he's not going to miss the whole season. Brett Siegel in here is kind of implying that he directly says Devin Carter likely to miss the whole year with a shoulder injury. That has not been confirmed. Devin Carter is still 6 months recovery time frame. That puts him, I believe, in either January or February.
Right.
It's pretty much 50-50 at that point. We'll see how the season's going. We'll see how he's feeling. But that's obviously to your point about, minutes.
I think you look at that as a bonus, right?
Absolutely.
You don't count,
it's like getting somebody at the trade deadline.
Exactly. You don't count on it, but if it happens, great. Then you add somebody, but you got to be prepared either way. Which
Absolutely.
I think they are.
Yeah. And what do you think the Kings' win range is right now? If you had to, earlier I know we talked about maybe the Warriors being a 9 to a 6 seed, but I think the Vegas over/under, we read it yesterday, is at 46.5.
Interesting. I'm taking the over. I'll say it right now. I'm thinking 50 plus. Maybe I'm overly optimistic, but
that's around where I'm
remembering the team from a couple of years ago, and again, just. There's not many teams out there who can score the ball the way the Kings do. The question is, can they get stops? And I think we've seen that they can when they're locked in. Can they do it consistently? I really like the DeRozan addition. Yeah, I'm thinking 50 plus wins this year.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, they tricked off so many games last year too, where they, realistically they had 46 wins if you look at paper.
If they can beat the bottom 5 teams in the league,
they're a 50-win team last year.
Team, yeah.
And so what would the floor of expectation been if they won 50 games last year and then add
55.
DeMar DeRozan on top of that?
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like in general people aren't as high on the Kings as they should be, which makes sense. We've been in this market long enough to where we understand the Warriors, the Lakers.
Thing.
It's exactly where you want them.
You don't want all the expectations. You want to be under the radar, right?
Yeah.
Mike Brown can use that as motivation.
Totally.
Put a chip on your shoulder. Stay humble. Keep working. Prove people wrong. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, and I think JaVale McGee might have said it last year where, and Trevor Ariza has said it way, way, way in the past when he was a King, but sometimes they do play like you're kind of mentioning when they have a level of expectation, they start to kind of feel themselves and there is a little bit of what have you guys accomplished? What makes you feel like you can take your foot off the gas? And at some point here, these guys do have to. It was great to see in the Beam Team season. They kind of did take ownership of we want to be that group that gets over this hump. But, that's a small accomplishment, honestly, in the grand scheme of the NBA. And I think that there's real goals that these guys need to try and meet. And if they don't, we could start to see heads roll. I know Mike Brown got his extension. It was a little bit tough waters there. De'Aaron Fox is going to look for an extension this offseason. Monty McNair is going to try and get locked up for an extended period of time here moving soon. If the Kings don't meet expectations again this season,
it's a big year.
You start to see some things change. And
it's a big year.
And I think you'd be surprised. Yeah.
It's a big year, and I think they know that. And I also think bringing in DeMar DeRozan helps in that area too. He's a veteran, and he knows
sense of urgency for sure.
Yep, and he knows what it takes. I think to he's been in the playoffs. He's been in the high level before.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I just cannot wait to see the Kings finally roll the ball out there and just really see what exactly the Kings have ready to go for this coming season. Coming up next, interceptions. I think we can all agree interceptions are a bad thing, but what do we make of interceptions thrown in training camp? It has been a huge hot button topic for Brock Purdy this entire preseason, I guess you could call it. We talk about if Brock Purdy has an interception problem, and if he does, if it even matters. We talk about that next, right here, Stiles Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Trying to find out where to catch your favorite team's games?
Are you a fan of the Kings, Niners, and the NFL? Well, Sacktown Sports has you covered.
Touchdown! San Francisco! It's all on his shoulders. Cox rocks. He fires for the win. He's got the triple.
Catch all your Kings, Niners, and NFL games all year long on Sacktown Sports and SacktownSports.com.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards that zero-turn lawnmower you've always wanted. And after using its edge-shaping technology to meticulously sculpt the face of the Mona Lisa into your grass, you'll become the undisputed king of Saturday morning lawn care, leaving your neighbor and sworn enemy Gary to question his place in the delicate neighborhood ecosystem. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, not available in all states.
This is it. Shop the Lowe's Closeout event to get up to 70% off select major appliances for your home. Plus, get up to 60% off select patio furniture and accessories for your outdoor spaces. So hurry into your local store today because these deals are too good to last. Shop them now before they're gone. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 8/7 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Sacktown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sacktown Sports and subscribe.
The nice thing about having somebody new in the seat is you get to learn new things about somebody. And I just learned Ben Ross has a history of calling water polo.
Yeah, love it.
How did that come about? How many times have you done it? Did you learn anything about the sport about yourself?
Man, I'll tell you what. I've done some weird sports because I've
really.
Also done,
we got to get that list too.
I've done I love to do play-by-play whenever I can. So, I mean, now that I live in the Bay Area and there's so many college teams and it's cool now they all stream their games. Like even the Olympic sports like water polo. So I've done water polo broadcasts for Cal, for Stanford.
Oh, that's awesome.
I feel like I called the national quarterfinals a few years back when UOP was hosting it in Stockton. Water polo, I didn't know anything about it, but it's a fun sport. I learned it quickly. I mean, I was just telling you it kind of reminds me of basketball in that there's a shot clock and it's like just the way the possessions work, the ball movement.
Great, yeah.
I mean, it does look exhausting.
I mean, this girl's literally drowning this girl right in front of the net.
And
there's
crazy.
No call. There's not a foul or anything.
The stuff that these players try to do underwater.
Right. Yeah. You can't.
I mean, you're not just treading water, but you've got like people tugging at you and trying to pull you under. It looks exhausting.
Yeah. I can't imagine. I mean, I can definitely see why in high school, all of the water polo players were like in the most amazing shape. You're just treading water for what you said. There's
8-minute quarters. Okay. 4 quarters, 8 minutes each. So I mean, it's a short game, but that's a long time to be treading water and leaping out of the water to take your shots. And it was fun. I don't think I ever did a game for the Pac-12. I've done other sports at the Pac-12 network. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
But water polo is one of my favorites of the kind of newer ones that I didn't know.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those sports where I feel like I'm surprised this hasn't taken the nation by. It just feels like something if you have 4 people and it's summer and you're playing
what's
with
really
your buddies.
funny? What's funny about it is like it's a California sport and that's basically it. So when you look at the rankings, I mean, there's basically one of 4 teams will win the national championship in college water polo every year. It's USC, it's UCLA,
it's like the
Cal
field
and Stanford.
hockey and lacrosse. Yeah.
And so it's funny too, because you'll have these matchups and they're all top 10. It'll be Stanford against like Long Beach State, and Long Beach State is ranked number 7, and like UOP is ranked number 9, and like UC Davis will be ranked number 8.
Wow, that's incredible.
All these California teams are. And then you'll have like maybe a couple teams back east. I think Princeton is one of the good ones back. That's about it. Yeah.
Okay.
But even there, they're like maybe ranked 15 or 16.
You're probably not getting in the water much if you're on the East Coast.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
It's like they've got lacrosse. We've got water
exactly.
polo.
And they do perfectly fine at lacrosse. They do their thing. I don't understand lacrosse at all, but it seems fun. And
it is
much like water
too.
polo. It seems very physical.
They all seem
shady
physical and fun.
Yes. Yeah. That ball, from what I understand, is also can be used as a weapon in lacrosse as well.
Those goalies must get a lot of bruises.
Yeah, just a ton. Yeah, I could go on about that all day. I love this. Is my favorite part of the Olympics is getting in on these obscure sports. I was telling you, water polo and handball are my 2 Olympic sports where I'm like, I have to find out at some point in my life how I can play
handball
like a regulation game.
Yeah.
It looks so fun.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out like what combination of sports it is. definitely got like some lacrosse, some field hockey in it, but with some basketball, some soccer influence.
Yeah, it's like all mixed.
And I can't figure out the dribbling. That's the one part of handball. I'm like, so do you have to dribble? Is there a travel? Is there like it's just very confusing.
I need to Google the rules.
I'm absolutely fascinated. Any sport in which I can just watch and be a bit of a novice, I am all here for. So it's great. Let's see here. Moving on to Brock Purdy and his interception problem. Does Brock Purdy have an interception problem when it comes to camp? For what it's worth, Brock Purdy has thrown 9 interceptions through 10 days of 49ers training camp. One of those days was specifically, if I think that was like Thursday or Friday of last week. Brock was having this phenomenal practice. All the reports were, wow, Brock Purdy lit it on fire today. And then you check socials 10 minutes later, and Brock Purdy had thrown, I think, 5 interceptions on his next 7 throws. So definitely seems as if it's become a storyline out there in Santa Clara. Here's what Brock Purdy had to say on what his mentality is when it comes to throwing interceptions or just taking risks in training camp.
Man, it's a fine line. You know, you want to go out, you want to be efficient, you want to go through reads and obviously protect the ball and whatnot. But right now is the time for us to go out and, you know, you always hear the quarterback say experiment, but that's really what it is. Can I fit it in this window on this hitch? Can I look off Fred or Flan or Devondre in a certain way and then make that throw backside? You got to try it out. I mean, in the game and in the season, it comes down to protecting the ball every snap, every play. So you can't necessarily try those things out. Right now we can. And so my mindset right now is, you know, protect the ball, but like, let's be aggressive. Let's try this out. Let's figure it out. And so obviously I want to go through my reads, check the ball down and work on that as well, because that's real. That's football. But there's a time and a place where I'm like, hey, you know what? You know, this is practice and I'm going to drop back and try this out. So, and then you figure out that it can be a part of your game or not for the season.
I'm not trying to be hot takey or anything, Ben. I legitimately want to frame this question this way. Does that make sense to you, or do you think that it's more creating bad habits if you take risks in camp?
Yeah, I do sometimes get concerned with the risks that Purdy takes. Yeah. I mean,
kind of got bailed out a couple times last year, too.
There were a couple of dropped interceptions we saw in the playoffs. And I mean, I think with him, and he's acknowledged this in the past too, he's at his best when he doesn't try to do too much. Mm-hmm. Like we've seen, he's got the ability to make some really impressive plays. Yeah, for people who say he's just a game manager, he's not.
They're not watching.
You see some of the plays that he can make out of the pocket, but it is a fine line because he can sometimes get himself in trouble there. And especially once he makes one mistake, I feel like it kind of snowballs. He almost looks to get it all
the
back.
Ravens game. Yeah,
exactly. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. So with him, it's a fine line, and I think he needs to know he's got so much talent around him that he doesn't need to do too much. Right. He doesn't need to be a Lamar Jackson who kind of carries that offense.
He's got to make all the plays.
Exactly. And so, I do sometimes worry about that with him, but I don't know. You're right. You don't want to get into bad habits. You want to practice the way that you're going to play.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's a tough thing to try and balance. I think you put it perfectly there, but it's just interesting because I always say, you know, kind of like I said about greatness, like greatness to me is when you have expectations and then you meet or exceed those expectations. To me, you don't really get a good grasp on how great or how good somebody is until they struggle, and then you see how they recover from that struggle. Do they instantly bounce back, or do they let it linger for a bit? And, you know, everything's good until it isn't. And I think that's kind of what we've seen with Brock is it's all been great so far. I mean, you know, he's definitely had a couple setbacks along the way, but what happens when Brock Purdy does get off to a really bad start in a season? And it doesn't have to be this season. It could be 5 to 6 years from now. But what happens when Brock does have to meet some adversity here in his play and he's got to respond with, no, I'm telling you, I was good this whole time? Because it does feel like Brock is always going to have that monkey on his shoulder of, hey, you're Mr. Irrelevant. Hey, I still think that this is a lot of Shanahan and not you. And until I really don't know if he'll ever shake it, or maybe a Super Bowl win will change it. But I just wonder when Brock does eventually get to the point where maybe some of those dropped interceptions just become interceptions, and maybe some of these fumbles aren't recovered by his team. what happens to Brock mentally and how can he recoup from it? I think tons of people in that organization have a lot of faith that he's the character or has the character of somebody who will let that just kind of roll off his back and be better moving forward. So we'll see how Brock and his interceptions go. And for what it's worth, it is still training camp, but I do have to mention here, my guy, JJ McCarthy, has been lighting it up in training camp so far. 22 touchdowns, 1 interception so far throughout training camp for JJ McCarthy. So I do have to get my Vikings fix in there just a little bit. And speaking of getting your fix in, Ben is a massive, massive baseball fan, and we are going to get his thoughts on the San Francisco Giants. Did Ben like what they did at the deadline? Does he have faith that they can get it done the rest of the way? And then looking forward past this season, do the Giants continue to do what they've done every offseason and shoot for the moon, or do they finally let the young guys give it a go? We talk about that and more coming up next right here in Stiles and Watkins Sacktown Sports.
Our first year as the radio home of the San Francisco 49ers is one we will never forget.
And Logan Ryan picks him up. Looks like they're playing man. LaPorta's over there as well. It's 5 out. It's empty on 4th down. Goff back. Not going to get out to his right. Being chased. Throws. And it is incomplete. The 49ers take over on 4th down again.
Congratulations to the 49ers on a terrific year. And thank you for so many wonderful memories.
The light is fading, your hands are sore, and the last tool has been put away. Now's the time to feel the satisfaction that comes with a job well done. But when you get your tools from Harbor Freight, something about the job feels a little different. Your wallet. Because we believe that everyone deserves hardworking tools at hardworking prices. And that's what we have here. So, whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
This year, Dell Technologies' Back to School event is delivering impressive tech with an inspiring purpose. Learn how Dell is helping Computer Aid, whose work is helping solar community hubs with tech and AI literacy skills to empower remote, displaced, or disconnected communities around the world. Help Dell make a difference and shop AI-ready PCs powered by Snapdragon X Series processors at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
It's a myth to think you don't play golf well enough to get fitted for golf clubs. The professionals at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio would argue that playing the game with golf clubs properly fitted to your body and swing characteristics is the best way to improve your game and have more fun on the golf course. With a professional staff of fitters, all the major brands of equipment, and cutting-edge technology featuring TrackMan, the indoor-outdoor Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio is worth a look. See for yourself. Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway. Schedule your fitting at 916-808-2531. 808-2531.
Sponsored by Xfinity Internet. Enjoy ultimate control of your home network. Personalize your Wi-Fi name and password. Assign user profiles. View and control connected devices and more with the Xfinity Internet app.
Hi, this is Greg Papa. Disasters hit every day. If your home, business, or building has suffered from any disaster, SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to and letting your focus be on what's most important, your family or your business. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884.
Sacktown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
Got some updates from the 49ers training camp. Nothing exciting. You have Kyle Shanahan stepping up to the podium. Emil just let me know during the break. Kyle stepped up to the podium and essentially said, not much traction. Everything that you're hearing is what's happening, and there is no movement. There is talks on all fronts, and there is still a decent chance, not the biggest chance, but a decent chance that Brandon Aiyuk does stay in San Francisco, and this becomes a much ado about nothing, and we all wasted our time. There's a chance that he is moved to the Cleveland Browns, and the New England Patriots right now are the prevailing favorites. And speaking of favorites, we are watching, like we talked about last segment, water polo, women's water polo in the quarterfinals of the Olympics. They're up 4-5 right now, and Ben was putting me on and letting me know that apparently that's low scoring when it comes to water polo.
That underwater shot right there. I haven't seen that before. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is incredible. You can really see, like you were talking about, all the tugging and yanking that goes on. Even on the women's side, they are they are tugging away. And
I hope there's no one that doesn't want water polo spoilers.
Yeah, right. I know. Where am I supposed to draw the line? Can I talk about badminton? What's going on in Team USA? Men's basketball is about to tip off here in a couple minutes. You got Dwayne Wade and Noah Eagle on the call. They have been amazing for what it's worth. I've always been a fan of Noah Eagle.
I like Noah Eagle a lot.
I have not heard Dwayne Wade on commentary before. He has been fantastic.
He's been good.
But Noah is fantastic.
Well, you know what? And it's funny because and we know there's plenty of nepotism in this business.
Yeah,
and he takes that criticism because his dad is Ian Eagle.
Yeah.
But Noah Eagle is one of those sons who's actually really, really good.
He could have been in the spot he's in now, regardless.
Oh, he's great. I'm sure the last name helped him get noticed.
Foot in the door for sure.
A foot in the door.
Yeah.
But he is one of the best broadcasters out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't get it twisted for a second. Noah Eagle is fantastic and is probably going to be the future of NBA commentary when it does come to play-by-play moving forward, obviously with the NBA's new TV deal with Amazon and with NBC. I would guess actually this is an NBC broadcast. Maybe Noah Eagle will be the main commentator on NBA on NBC. Also, Ben, let me know during the break from Christian McCaffrey's front. You said a pulled hamstring, or was that a
calf strain?
Calf strain,
not expected to be serious.
Okay.
A couple of weeks most likely is not going to play in the preseason.
Christian McCaff strain.
It had to be said.
It's too good.
Thank you.
That was
Nate.
too good. Thank you, Nate. You nailed it. That's why you get the big bucks. And yes, Christian McCaff strain will be out for the entirety of the preseason. But I honestly think he was going to be out regardless of whether he was healthy or not. There is no reason
for him to play.
What does Christian McCaffrey gain from playing preseason? And Ben definitely great note as well, after noting that that's probably why Matt Breida was brought in.
Perhaps
it's an extra body.
Yeah.
And even if it is a practice squad body at some point, somebody who's familiar with that offense and maybe has something left in the tank. His best years obviously were here or were with the Niners out in San Francisco. And has kind of been floundering these past couple of years. I think he spent last season with the Giants, if I'm not mistaken. So, definitely some interesting news on the Niners front, but not the news that anybody wanted to hear. And, Ben, that brings me to the San Francisco Giants. And when we talk about news that people didn't want to hear, in general, I mean, you obviously weren't on these airwaves as the trade deadline was happening. What were your thoughts on the Giants' moves at the deadline? We talked a little bit about it in the pre-show, but in general, what did you feel like they needed to accomplish? Did you feel like they accomplished it? And what in general did you want to see them do?
I'll tell you what, I thought it was weird. I just don't think it had a direction.
Yeah.
I think that they were trying.
Direction was in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if I'm a Giants fan, I'm happy that they kept that starting rotation
for sure.
together for the most part. They traded Alex Cobb, who's been hurt and has not
but you get
pitched
Robbie
this
Ray.
year.
Yep.
But you get Robbie Ray back, and Blake Snell is looking great now, as is Logan Webb. Yeah. But I think it's weird. I think at the trade deadline, you've got to have a direction. Are you going to sell? Or are you going to buy?
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think they really did either. They trade Jorge Soler.
Yep.
And then at the last minute, they bring in Mark Canha. That was sort of the one addition.
Yep.
I think if you're going to try and make a run at the playoffs this year, which I think they're, what are they, like 4.5 games out right now of the last wild card. I think if you're going to make a run at the postseason this year, you got to add to that lineup. I just don't trust the bats. They've been so inconsistent, and I don't know if they have enough. I mean, their starting rotation is really strong. I think Farhan Zaidi called them the best in baseball. But if you really believe that, you've got to go out and add a bat and that. So I give it a C, because they didn't really. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was terrible. But I think to have a good trade deadline, you've got to make a move. You've got to have a direction. You've got to kind of go all in one way or the other. And so, to me, if you're going to go for it, add to that lineup. If not, then I think maybe they should have traded Blake Snell.
Yeah, and I think it was always naturally going to be a pretty awkward deadline for them because of just the whole Farhan situation in general. I mean, he kind of, I think, knows that he's at least on the hot seat. I think a lot of people would definitely argue his job is on the line, but he was never the case for selling was always going to be a tough one for them to make with his standing. Did you feel like that kind of played a factor?
Yeah, I do. And I think what else played a factor is, they went into the trade deadline sweeping a 4-game series against the Colorado Rockies, which all of a sudden got them close to 500 again. People were kind of wondering, even if they take 3 of 4 in that series, do they sell? Do they trade? But no, I'm with you. And that's what makes it a little more confusing to me, that he didn't buy more. Like if this is really his job on the line, making a run at the playoffs, I think there's.
What do you care about the future?
Yeah, I think you need to go and grab another bat. And so that surprised me a little bit because, again, even they've been playing really good ball. I think they've won 8 of their last 10.
Yeah.
The bats have gotten going a little bit, but still, you look at that lineup and there's not a whole lot of consistency. No, like right now, Tyler Fitzgerald is carrying them, which is great.
Yeah.
And I mean, River Cats fans, I think, know how good he has been. And he kind of makes the case, like, let's give more guys who rake in AAA a shot in the majors, even if they're not necessarily one of the top prospects. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't think they did enough. I don't think they did enough to make a real push at the playoffs. I think they'll be in it the whole way, but I look at teams in their division like the Padres and the Diamondbacks, and I think they're both better.
Both of them. Yep, they got to clear both of them, and you nailed it. They are 4.5 games out of the wild card right now. There's, of course, 3 wild card spots nowadays. The Braves hold it at 60-51. The Diamondbacks are 61-52, as are the Padres. You have the Mets, Pirates, Cardinals, Giants, Reds, and to an extent the Cubs as well, all fighting for that final wild card spot. The Giants are 4.5 back right now. They have, like you said, won 8 of their last 10 games, but definitely does not bring a lot of confidence if you are relying this heavily on guys like Tyler Fitzgerald. It's great that he's having a run, but we've seen the Giants so far this season rely on these young guys to have runs, and at some point the runs do come to an end. And you did mention, I agree with you in saying that they should have gotten a bigger bat, but moving forward after this season, and I guess it kind of doesn't matter if Farhan's here or not, do you want them to continue to try out and get the Arson Judges, the Bryce Harper, the Carlos Correa, which was right at their doorstep?
Yeah.
Or should they at some point here just say, look, this youth movement has been screaming at us in the face. We don't want to lean into it because it could potentially lead to losses, but in the long run, you do see a lot of these teams, you make this, look at the Orioles, you look at even the Astros all those years back, after they tanked for 15 years, it felt like they eventually got good. Do you think the Giants need to go out there and still try and pursue that star, or should they lean into their youth movement?
I think both. I think they do need to still go get a star because I think the best teams in the league, the Dodgers of the world, the Yankees, they do both. They've got great farm systems and develop their own talent, but they also add to it with, established stars. Yeah. And to me, I think the Giants have been fortunate that they've got such a loyal fan base and they've got a great ballpark and they've got across the bay a mess with the A's and they're leaving town.
Yeah.
Because the last few years they've been mediocre and they haven't even really been all that exciting. I mean, we talked about the A's playing better. The A's lineup right now is a lot more exciting than the Giants.
Absolutely.
So
you got Lawrence Butler hitting home runs every other day. It feels like
Brent Rooker. Shea Langoliers. If I'm the Giants, I think if I'm a Giants fan, I'm excited about some of the young guys like Elliot Ramos and Marco Luciano and some of the other young bats, but I think you still need to go after that big guy who's really going to not just draw attention and help with like excitement and fan support because they've got that, but like really solidify the lineup. I mean, they haven't had – how long has it been since they've had a 30 home run guy? I think it's since Barry Bonds.
Yeah, Barry Bonds is the last one to hit 30 home runs.
That's crazy.
It sounds fake.
It's crazy.
It sounds like a fake stat.
Yeah,
it's
wild.
absolutely insane. And I mean, funny enough, you mentioned Soler. He was supposed to be the one
that guy
to do it, and they let him go. And I think Chapman's leading the team in home runs right now.
Chapman's having he's having kind of under the radar, not for Giants fans, but nationally. I mean, I think Giants fans are seeing what A's fans knew for so long.
His glove still works.
His glove's incredible, and he just does things that don't necessarily show up in his stats. He's a really, really good player.
He's a great baseball player. I mean, just some of the things that he's able to do on the defensive end, it just leaves your jaw on the floor. I saw the other day he made this barehanded scoop throw to first when Ellie De La Cruz is running.
So
just
easy.
Makes it look effortless. I don't think there's ever been in my lifetime that I've seen just somebody who looks so smooth at that position. Obviously, the hot corner, there's been so many great third basemen, but Matt Chapman has a stake to claim to be right up there with some of the best defensive players to ever play the position, period, but definitely of this era, 100%. So there you go. There's your Giants fix as well. We might have some time to squeeze in some more baseball talk at some point today, but we're going to go to a Stiles and Watkins staple, fair or foul, where we have Jim Harbaugh kind of talking baseball a bit. Jim Harbaugh, of course, former 49ers coach, now coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, says he's caught 22 foul balls at baseball games. We have the age-old discussion, the radio conversation of, is it fair or foul to bring a glove to a baseball game? And Adam Silver wants to add more in-season tournament teams. We talk about that and more right here, Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Did you miss any part of our live local shows? Don't worry, you never have to miss them again. Check out sacktownsports.com and search our podcast page and play our shows when you want. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys. Plus, other podcasts like Return of the Empire, Return of the Roar, the Stingers Up podcast, and Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
They're all available right now on sacktownsports.com.
When it comes to my lifestyle and diet, I don't always make the smartest choices.
Touchdown! Woo! Hey, how about another round and some more chips?
But when it comes to taking care of my liver, I do make one very smart choice. Active liver tablets from New Nordic. I used to have real issues with my liver, and at my last checkup, my doc was concerned about my numbers. But since adding a once-a-day active liver tablet, my gut's better, I feel great, and my doctor's happy. I ask a lot of my liver, so the least I can do to say thanks is a daily dose of Active Liver.
You ask a lot of your liver, so give it the support it needs with Active Liver. You can find Active Liver at Amazon.com or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. Or for a volume discount, visit NewNordicUSA.com. Go to new, NORDICUSA.com. Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS.
I would end the day with sore feet, sore legs. The drugstore inserts that I was purchasing were really not very useful at all. I walked into the Good Feet store and the guy kind of grinned at me and said, I hear that a lot. I was living with chronic pain before going to the Good Feet store. Now I don't really have that problem. I'm able to do the things that I expect to be able to do, even at my advanced age. I feel pretty good about what's going on.
The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, and Vacaville.
Sacramento, Dierks Bentley's coming to town. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo for Country in the Park 2. And he's bringing some friends. Parmalee, Tyler Rich, Dasha, Kelsey Hart, and more. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by RVs of Sacramento and Hoblet Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center.
There was always a crowd gathered around our dining table when I was growing up. Hi, I'm Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. Everyone was welcome at my mother's table, so holidays, birthdays, and celebrations always included family and friends. I used to think I was the most popular kid in the neighborhood until I realized that my friends were really there for my mother's incredible cooking. Years later, when I bought my own dining table from Naturewood, I made sure it was large enough to make friends feel welcome. And right now, During Naturewood Home Furnishings Dine in Style sale, you have an opportunity to find the perfect dining room furniture to help you create your own treasured memories. Choose from casual to formal or anything in between. Visit Naturewood Home Furnishings during the Dine in Style sale off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
Hey, what's up? Kyle Draper from Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. I've had my new Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV for about 6 months now, and it's still the best car driving experience that I've ever had. And I got some news for you. Mercedes-Benz of Stockton doesn't just have cars or SUVs, they also have Sprinter vans, and they have special rates starting at 4.9% APR and an $8,000 discount on over 30 vans in stock. So head on down there right now to Mercedes-Benz of Stockton and check out their new Sprinter vans. Just a short drive right off the 5 in Stockton.
Hi, Michael Dave here for Capital Casino. Sacramento summertime heat is back. And of course, Cap Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, wants to invite everyone to soak up some air conditioning, still with the most variety of table games in the region. And as always, the best food, best service, and the best action, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. Capital Casino, of course, reminding everyone to please make sure you gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Increase leads and get more customers. We create tailored digital marketing strategies that deliver results. On your next campaign, aim higher. Go to aimyourdigital.com and get started today. aimyourdigital.com.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sacktown Sports.
Sacktown Sports. Listening to Stiles and Watkins. Chris Watkins here. Alan Stiles. You can hear in the mornings holding it down from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. the rest of this week while Carmichael Dave and Jason Ross are out on vacay. We do have an interesting text here from the text line that definitely falls into the what am I supposed to do about this category. Derek here in Fairfield. Shout out Derek in Fairfield. Born and raised in Sacramento, North Highlands area. First off, really enjoying your show and appreciate y'all getting me through lunch Monday through Friday. Absolutely, Derek, anytime. Derek then goes on to say, I have one beef. When and why am I hearing a lot of people using the term or phrase 100%? Derek, you had me. You had me in the first half. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
First half.
Don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. It might just be it might be a comfort word or something.
It's a lot better than 110%, right?
I
hate when coaches say that.
Oh yeah, please give your 110% effort. Okay, I need everyone giving their 110%.
If we're just making up percentages that don't exist, why not 200%?
Why not?
I'm
might as well.
I'm 110% sure. I literally said 110% earlier in the show.
100%.
Yes,
100%.
I said
you
it.
100%.
100%.
110%.
By the way, Derek, you've made this show
111%.
30% better because you've now put this in our head, and we're going to be saying 100% the entirety of today. So I'm glad that we can help you get through your lunch Monday through Friday, Derek, but you might have just made your Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. Yeah. Tuesday lunch a little bit tougher of a listen. 100%. I can 100% guarantee you that one, Derek, but no, we love you, Derek. Absolutely appreciate you listening. And, we did have this conversation yesterday, Ben, and you were telling me a little bit about how your daily schedule kind of goes. Typically, noon is the stereotypical, I guess you could say, lunchtime.
Right.
When do you usually get your lunch fix in? And sometimes does lunch get sacrificed for breakfast? Are you a sacrifice breakfast for lunch kind of person? Let us in a little bit on how your food schedule goes.
My schedule, it depends on my work schedule, which can be different every day. Like today, I'm waiting till after the show.
Yeah.
Lunch will be at 2:00 today. Typically I sleep in.
Yeah.
So my meals always come late. Breakfast is late. Typically, I'd say for me, lunch is usually around 2-ish.
Okay. Yeah.
And then dinner is closer to like 7 or 8.
Oh, okay. So
like
you eat pretty close.
Yeah. Living that European lifestyle, the late dinner.
The siesta and all that. Well, that's it. So my girlfriend does this all the time. I'm curious if this is something that you do since you eat a later breakfast. do you have to eat breakfast item? Like if you haven't eaten breakfast yet and we're pushing towards 11, maybe closer to noon.
Oh yeah, I can wait till lunch.
Do you have to get a breakfast item in though? Or can you just say, no, I'll just go over to lunch?
I can skip to lunch. I do love breakfast food, but if we get to noon and I can do a sandwich. I can do lunch.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. Thank you. You've just helped me win a battle in my household because I'm like, this is ridiculous.
My apologies to your girlfriend.
No. You're on the right side of history here. Okay. Let's not backtrack. No, it's just, I get it. I totally understand it because I can be like that in other areas where I need to cross this specific off my list first before I move on. But yeah, I don't know. Something about, I'm not really the biggest breakfast fan either. Like the eggs and I just feel like there's only a certain amount of ways in which you can have it.
It's funny because like I'm the opposite of that. And like, again, I tend to sleep in and I don't always have the classic breakfast foods, but I love it. We were talking about like at stadiums, like the media meal. Yeah. I think a lot of people for baseball don't like when the A's or Giants have the breakfast foods for day games. I love it when they got the eggs and the bacon, French toast, whatever. I love it all.
I can
bring me breakfast.
I can do the sweeter breakfast for sure. You give me the pancakes, the waffles, waffles. French toast. I can definitely do that. It's just the eggs and sometimes the country potatoes can be a little bit like I like them salty. That's the problem. Yeah. Sometimes they can be a little nasty and stale, but it's whatever. I digress. It is a fascinating thing though that I found, the fluctuation of people's lunchtime, and we just, like I said, we all just kind of naturally assume you hit noon, that's got to be lunchtime. But from what I've found in this time slot specifically, people are all over the place in where they eat lunch. I guess that's totally what it is, and that moves us on to fair or foul, as I think, some of what I heard from Ben there is definitely fair. And I definitely am going to say some of that breakfast stuff is a little foul. But Jim Harbaugh, as we know, that guy, he's an individual. Jim Harbaugh is. He can be a strange one. I know people had, I hope, joked about before him talking about putting Gatorade in his kids' cereal. I hope that's a joke. But we know Jim Harbaugh is a little bit intense. And he, unsurprisingly, is somebody who takes his baseball fan attendance very seriously. And he's one of those, they call them Disney adults. If you go to Disneyland when you're older, he's one of these adults that apparently brings a glove to baseball games and is very, very proud.
Are you still wearing a glove?
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to wear a glove when you go to MLB.
Yeah, I always wear a glove. I mean, that's like your chances improve dramatically if you have a glove at a baseball game. There's no question about
it. Success is when preparation meets opportunity, right?
Yeah. I've got 22 career foul balls, like legitimately in a game, a foul ball, a home run, but it happened like during the game, not batting practice before. I don't count those. I've only gotten one in the last 10 years.
Oh, some people are saying you've fallen off.
I just went to the Angels game. I mean, they were great to me. Padres, I guess know some people there. They get me, the tickets they get me are too good.
Oh,
they're too good.
Yeah.
They're in a spot where you just, your percentage of getting a foul ball is, it would have to have to.
And the nets now. Yeah.
The nets. It would have to hit off and then bounce back.
So you got to ask for worse tickets.
I got to get worse tickets.
Yeah, you got to get worse left field. Yeah. You got to be out in the bleachers.
I'm in a suite.
So there you go. There's one Jim Harbaugh who, again, takes his baseball attendance very, very seriously. Ben, first off, I have to ask, I know we talked earlier and you said you've been to 7 or so baseball stadiums. Have you ever had the opportunity even to catch a foul ball, not a fair ball. Not a fair ball.
No, not at the major league level. I would when Harbaugh was talking about 22.
I was he caught 22
I'm like,
foul
wait a minute,
balls.
is he talking like minor leagues also? Because I've caught a couple at minor league games where like you're the only one in the outfield or something. Like in the bleachers, I caught a couple home run balls. No, never at a major league game. They've come close.
Yeah.
Recently, I was doing a college softball broadcast at Cal, and I dropped a foul ball.
Did you have a glove?
No, I did not.
Do you bring gloves? Do you have something against this? Because this is a real
nothing
thing.
Against it, but I don't do it myself. But no, I'm all for letting people. If you want to bring, it's fair. Because it's people who rip it like it's a legitimate thing that can happen, right?
Oh,
Foul
yeah, for
balls
sure.
come to you, and a glove makes it a lot easier. You don't
Sure
hurt
does.
your hand. I'm okay
Especially
with
if you're
it.
holding the beverage in the
Yeah,
other one. Like,
I'm
you
okay
know,
with it.
I know everybody likes to make Sports Center and catch it
Yeah.
in the cup or something like that. I don't really have an ultimate problem with it. I do think it's just
Are
funny
you a glove
thing.
bringer?
No, definitely not. But I am not going to knock anyone's hustle. I do think it's funny, just the aesthetic of it in general, but I'm not going to bash you or anything like that. I'm not going to make you feel like you're a lesser person or anything, but it is the aesthetic of you saying like, no, let me make sure I bring my glove is just a little bit funny to me, but
I'm not going
to knock your hustle.
I got two more quick ones for you that I hear about from people. What do you think about adults wearing jerseys? Because there's some people who don't like that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I have a ton of jerseys, but I've heard the most toxic take I've heard about it is I'm not going to wear some other man's name on the back of my back of my back or whatever. I'm like, who cares? Sounds like you're overthinking this clearly. No, I don't have a problem with it. I think sometimes it can look funny in a certain circumstance, but no, I mean, I love wearing jerseys, especially like during summer.
It's one of the things that's gotten weirder for me as I get old. Like
I can see how it feels.
I
weird
hate that I'm older than most athletes.
Yes,
I
right.
hate that.
I could definitely see that part getting to you, and it's like, I'm wearing like a 23-year-old's jersey, and I'm
hate that.
In my 40s. It's like, I could see how that gets a little bit dicey, but no, I ultimately don't have a problem with it. I actually kind of hope jerseys make a recovery in terms of like, in the early 2000s, everybody had whether it was a backwards jersey for whatever reason or an oversized jersey. Everyone in the early 2000s was rocking a football jersey. You could wear basketball jerseys, baseball jerseys, even to an extent have gotten played out. I need it to come back because I think it's, especially for guys fashion, like, what even is guys fashion?
Well, then I got one more for you.
Yeah.
And I'll say right now that I'm guilty of this, which I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But then there's some people. What do you think about adults wearing backpacks? Because I bring my backpack everywhere. I carry stuff in my backpack, and I got no problem with it. And if you don't like my backpack, I don't know where I'm going with that.
I have never thought of it. I understand maybe why some people would say, like, why are you an adult wearing like
you're
something
like
high
going
school?
to school?
Yeah. You look like a big child or something, but I got stuff to do. Yeah, like you got your laptop in there. You got
stuff
like
is.
especially in our industry too.
Yeah.
Like we got to walk into these states. Like we
I guess
have
you
a
could
lot
have
of stuff.
like a briefcase or something. I don't know, but
Maybe,
it's
you're
easier
not
to
a
carry.
lawyer. What are you doing?
Backpack is easy to carry.
No, I've got no problem with a backpack. It just makes me feel like you've got some stuff that you need to carry with you. My girlfriend wears a fanny pack everywhere, and she gets tons of compliments on it. So why can't
My
you
girlfriend
wear?
likes fanny packs too. I give her grief about it, but like she's cooler than I am.
Yeah, exactly.
What am I going to do?
Shows how much we know. And no, definitely. I've got no problem with a backpack. I've never even considered it being a goofy thing. Maybe if you have like a backpack that is incredibly full, you might look a little funny.
Right.
You can like a little turtle shell on your back. But again, it just kind of tells me, well, he's probably carrying a lot of things that are important. I've never really given that much thought, but it's going to be one of those things now I can't stop noticing.
Yeah,
I'll be like,
I'm gonna pay attention.
There's 8 people in this room with a backpack on, and before I didn't notice it at all. So definitely some interesting stuff there from Jim Harbaugh. And would love to send it into the text line. You have you can also call in 916-339-1140. I think it's all fair. I think again, you're all adults. You can do whatever you want, but as long as you're not hurting anybody. And I will say there is a guy specifically. I don't know if you've seen his content around the foul ball guy, the guy who's like hyper obsessed.
That's what I was going to ask. I'm like, is Harbaugh related to that guy or something with his 22
that guy,
what's his name? Zach something. Hampel?
That guy, yes. That guy I have no problem bashing as much because that's
he's like
where it's
ripping them away from kids and stuff.
Taking them away from kids.
What are you doing, man?
He also scouts. Like, again, you have to watch this guy's videos. I really don't want to give him too much publicity because I do think it's a little bit strange, but this guy legitimately will like scout, say, I think I saw a video of him talking about Aaron Judge's grabbing Aaron Judge's 60th home run that one season, and he legitimately looked at the home run plots and tried to figure out, okay, if I get in this section, in this row, in this seat, I'm like, come on, man, you're doing way, way, way too much with all that. Again, Adam Silver wants to potentially add other teams to his in-season tournament. Is that a good idea? Would an NBA Europe work? We talk about that next right here. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Keegan, can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Whitey here reminding you that not all gas grills are created equal. Bring out all the delicious flavors in your grilled meats with the amazing Napoleon Prestige and Prestige Pro line of outdoor cookers. My Napoleon Stainless Steel Pro Series gas grill has turned me into a grilling pro with features other grills cannot match. They're built different, built better, built to last. Made with premium stainless steel that boasts quality and a lifetime warranty. I may never want to cook indoors again. Napoleon grills and accessories are now available at your nearby Amy's, Ace Hardware in Sacramento, and now El Dorado.
When an overwhelmed injury victim calls Ashton or Price, we immediately remove their legal burden and introduce them to the very best medical care in the region. They focus on their health, and we handle all the rest. When they reach the end of their medical journey and are reunited with happiness and hope, we unleash our decades of legal experience to obtain maximum compensation. We are real, local, experienced litigators and snappy dressers too. Consultation's free, and there's never a fee until we win.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
Are you tired of your tee shots ending up in the adjoining fairway while the rest of your foursome is hitting it down the middle? Well, experts will tell you that being properly fitted for golf clubs will help you strike your drive center cut. The Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio and its team of trained PGA professionals are ready to help you get rid of your banana balls and duck hooks. Hagen Oaks Indoor-Outdoor Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, your new home for 49ers football in the 916.
Sacktown Sports. Sacktown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sacktown Sports and subscribe.
Got the Team USA versus Brazil basketball game going on the men's side right now. Not going to give away the score because, again, terrified of anybody who wants spoilers, spoiler-free afternoon. But just say Team USA is near doubling their score. It's looking good for Team USA's chances of moving on right now. Going over to the text line where we had Derek just, tell us he doesn't like us throwing 100% out there. And from the 916, Jeff says, you guys are 1,000% my fave. So thank you, Jeff. And 100%, man. Like, I just don't even know what else to say besides 100%. What about baseball coaches wearing uniforms? Imagine Shanahan in a football uniform. That is also from Jeff. Yeah, this is something I talked about. I think it was last week with Alan. I just needed a why. Like, Alan played college baseball. I figured maybe at some point there, somebody asked their manager or something, what's up with this? Why do we need to see 75-year-old Tony La Russa in a White Sox
weird.
jersey. Like who implemented that, and why can't they just wear, I don't know, like a quarter zip or something like that? It's
some
so
of them
strange.
have started to now.
They need to.
I think they
makes me a little uncomfortable.
Most managers still wear the uniform, but I feel like I've seen some of them now, like in a hoodie, maybe. Maybe it was like Terry Francona with Cleveland or something.
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is weird.
Could you imagine? I mean, like Bill Belichick or Shanahan in a full suit, or Mike Brown
I was
just
gonna
like
say
in a
basketball
jersey.
Coaches.
That would
wearing
definitely
jerseys.
look the strangest. And I'm already like, it's kind of,
Greg Popovich wearing a Spurs jersey. That I want to see.
No, thank you. No, thank you at all. Please. And it is interesting. There's I watched something the other day about how COVID kind of changed the NBA's coach dress code without it really being talked about, where they went from guys wearing suit and ties.
Right.
Doc Rivers
more
used
casual.
to be in a Versace suit on the sideline, and now these guys are again in like quarter zips and things like that. And then another very important question from the text line, this from the 530. Ben, I believe this one's towards you. Do you wear one strap or two straps on your backpack?
Oh, that's a good question.
It's an age-old question. 21 Jump Street.
The answer is both. I kind of what will happen to me, and it's funny because my girlfriend will give me grief about this when especially if I'm carrying like heavy stuff.
Yeah,
I'll still sometimes go to the one strap.
Yeah,
because
you used to be a cool kid.
Well,
for sure,
and it's like I want to alternate like which shoulder is getting the pressure, but also if it's hot out and I'm like working up a sweat, my back, I gotta like. My t-shirt starts to
especially
stick
if you
a little
have
bit.
like a dress shirt or something
I'm like
that.
I can't have it on both. So then you got to air it out a little bit.
Absolutely.
So
yes.
I go back and forth.
That's the inside knowledge that you won't get anywhere else besides here today from Ben Ross, who has been joining me for these past 3 hours and will rock with us for the next hour as well, leading up to the drive, guys. You're listening to Stiles and Watkins right now. Again, Alan Stiles holding it down in the mornings for Jason Ross and Carmichael Dave. I will be in the afternoons this entire week. I believe the rest of this week we will have Brendan Nunez in as the co-host. I believe he'll be remote tomorrow again, and then Thursday and Friday we'll be sitting in Ben's seat right across from me. This is an interesting little note that has came out from the Olympics. Adam Silver says that the NBA is ramping up talks with FIBA on how to best increase its competitive footprint in Europe, either through an annual tournament or an NBA-operated league, Silver said in an interview Friday with the Associated Press. He said, quote, "We certainly haven't made any definite decisions. I continue to believe that there's an enormous opportunity here. It's not something where we'll transform a league structure in the short term, but I think there's an appetite among our team owners for individual investment in global basketball. We have a huge initiative in China. We have a huge initiative in Africa. Given the quality of of the basketball here in Europe, it would seem to make sense that we should be doing something here as well." Silver said that he has no preference on whether the answer is a new league or a new competition. He said his trip to the Olympics provided him and Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum a chance to talk with FIBA executives, league executives, and other stakeholders about the future. And Silver likened it to a listening tour. About 60 current NBA players are European, and that figure represents roughly half of the league's international lineup. First question to you, Ben Ross, is in general, do you think that there would be interest in NBA Europe? There's obviously the Euro leagues right now, and that's a bit I won't say unorchestrated, but it's very detached. There is European, there's like Greek leagues, there's Turkish leagues, right. There is Israeli leagues. You have the Chinese league, which is where like Jimmer Fredette and Stephon Marbury went to go play.
Yep.
Do you think that there is a benefit to kind of having a unification of the belts in a certain sense and bringing a more structured European basketball?
That's a good question. I mean, I haven't really thought about that.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of above our pay grade.
Well, I was going to say it's also probably a question that would be better asked in Europe and like people more tuned in over there.
Yeah.
I would think so, just because, again, you talked about how basketball has become such a global sport.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just watching that France-Canada game earlier, and like the atmosphere for the Olympics in France for basketball looks incredible.
Yeah.
So I think there probably would be a market for that and some interest. I mean, I don't know. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think so to an extent. I mean, I still wonder in general what it is that the goal would be necessarily.
Sure.
Like, you're never obviously going to touch the soccer footprint that's over there. And it can be a little bit dicey. I wonder, what parts of Europe they would really try and focus on. Would it be, more so the France part of things? Because, you don't hear a lot of, I don't think UK is even in the basketball Olympic qualifiers at all. So I don't know how prevalent it really is in certain parts of Europe. But, obviously, you have the Greek league, you have, yes, you have the French league as well. You also have Australia has probably the second, I think, most competitive league out there. So I think there is some need for, again, I wouldn't call it a unification of the belts, but some sort of cohesiveness between the leagues, because it is a bit strange, I think, more so for the casual viewers to try and say, okay, is this like G League level? Where does this kind of fall in the overall basketball hierarchy? But yeah, I think the better answer, or the more intriguing answer, or maybe even just the spoon-fed answer to me, is just add like one team in each group of the in-season tournament. I think that could be an easy fix. It's already something that the league is trying to install. Gives a little bit of like a different feel. It makes the in-season tournament a little bit unique. You add in teams that you wouldn't typically see. I think also, though, the problem does kind of become, again, what I don't know what it solves, though. I don't, if you have Olympiacos getting absolutely boat raced by the San Antonio Spurs, I don't know what that accomplishes.
See, the real question here is, does that satisfy Noah Lyle's complaint that it becomes a world championship as opposed to just an NBA championship?
Let's just get into it. What are your thoughts on the world champion thing? We played the audio yesterday. For anyone who's not aware, Noah Lyles, I believe at the world championships last year, in his post-race press conference, said he essentially said it pisses me off that NBA teams claim world champion, football teams, NFL champions will claim world champions because they're not playing teams in Europe. They're not playing teams in South Africa or South America or wherever. They are only playing teams in either Canada or America. What are your thoughts, Ben? Does Noah have a little bit of a point? Is he completely off base?
Maybe a little bit if you want to be really technical about it. But I think the point is that the best players in the world are in the NBA. Yeah. And we've talked about how it's a global sport now, but all of the best players in the world, even when you look at the Olympics from all these other countries, who are the best teams? The teams that have the most NBA stars, like, Jokic is on Serbia. And we've talked about all the stars Canada has, and France, Wembanyama, and so I kind of see both sides, but I have no problem with it. The NBA and the players calling themselves world champ. Like, if I would love to see Olympiacos come and beat, whoever the NBA champions are on a given year, the Celtics. I'm okay with them calling it a world championship because, again, it's the best players in the world. I get that it's not a world competition of teams,
right?
But it's all the best players in the world. No one, it's the best league and the best players from all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't need to see, like you said, the Celtics play Olympiacos to know that the Celtics are the better team. And I think he's got a tiny bit of a point, but
if you want to be real technical,
it's just
I just thought it was funny that people were getting so worked up either way on that. I'm like, it's not that big of a deal.
It's whatever. Yeah, like let guys like us get upset about it on Sports Talk Radio. It's really not worth a lot of content. It's not really productive for anybody else's conversation. It was very interesting how much smoke that ended up getting, because tons of NBA players let their frustrations be known with it, but to me it just wasn't that big of a deal. And thankfully Noah Lyles backed up his end of things by getting the gold in the 100, and again he will run in the 200 tomorrow in that race, and definitely hoping he can bring home the gold for that. But it's really funny that we actually just talked about what we talked about because this next segment pretty much ties in exactly with that. Brian Windhorst had some very, very interesting comments when it comes to both what Noah Lyles talked about with the world champions conversation, and then you knew that this was going to happen at some point, Ben. We have to compare this Team USA to the 92 Dream Team, and Brian Windhorst wonders if this team is actually deeper than the 92 Dream Team. We talk about that next, coming up right here. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Keegan, can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
It's better over here. If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch.
With AutoPay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $300 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Sacktown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
All right. Team USA pulls. It got a little dicey there for a second. I think it was single digits. But they are back to their ways and starting to pull back away from Brazil. You got Asia Wilson and Snoop Dogg sitting courtside. Ben, I've been pretty vocal about just not being 100% in on the Snoop Dogg bit.
Did you see that report about how much he's getting paid to be there?
No,
I don't know if that was
legit. I'm
legit.
afraid to hear it because I think it's going to only upset me.
I don't know if it was legit or not, but I saw a report that he was getting paid $500,000 a day, which sounds probably about right.
I don't blame him then. If that's what he's getting paid, I do not blame him for doing that at all. Let's see here. Yeah, I see in the Daily Mail here, they have an article written about Snoop Dogg is being paid at the Olympics is revealed as NBC rewards rapper lavishly amid huge viewership surge and viral moments. Let's see here. NBC claims that it had 35.4 million views in the middle on the middle Sunday, more than double that of the equivalent day during the Tokyo Olympics, with Snoop Dogg proving a hit with fans. Let's see here.
Yeah, I'm looking at this.
2 reports
Yahoo
have given
now.
insight into his staggering earnings, which would be the envy of any sports star. Henry McNamara, one of the world's most influential young entrepreneurs, according to Forbes, claimed he heard from an NBC executive that Snoop had been getting paid $500,000 every day plus expenses in case that wasn't enough. Meanwhile, German outlet Bild reportedly heard from an NBC employee that he could earn up to $15 million across the games with a TV ratings bonus in his contract. My goodness.
There's a lot of money out there.
That
These
is
networks just throwing
insane.
it around.
That is insane. And if I'm not mistaken, a lot of people have brought it to my attention that a lot of these Olympians aren't paid very well either. I think they I believe they have to front, unless the sport itself will pay for it. But I believe they have to pay their dues in order to get to travel, pay for the travel and everything like that. And I believe, they get paid some form of compensation, but I don't think it's anything significant.
I'm assuming most of their money comes from their endorsement.
I would
deal.
guess so, yeah, like being a Visa, being a Coca-Cola sponsor and things like that. But of course not. Everyone can be Simone Biles and Noah Lyles and get in those commercials. So a majority of Olympians not getting the kind of money that Snoop Dogg is
Not
getting.
15 million.
Yeah, definitely not. So that's interesting and definitely makes Snoop Dogg a little bit less funny to me for sure, because there's nothing funny about that money at all. That is insane. But good on Snoop, I guess.
Must be nice.
He has definitely carved out a nice little second career here
really
after
has.
being one of the predominant gangster rappers in the 90s.
Yeah.
Has really flipped his whole persona into being like this family-friendly,
Right.
hey, come have fun with Uncle Snoop.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible, and should be a testament to everybody out there that you can change whatever the perception of you is.
Right.
If you put in the
Motivational.
work. Exactly. Moving on to Brian Windhorst, who had just the most crazy comments I think I've heard all Olympics. This is him comparing this current Team USA squad to the 92 Dream Team.
This is a very real topic because the Dream Team is unimpeachable. This is one of those situations that requires nuance, and there's going to be certain people that are not going to listen to nuance because for certain people, it's just an ironclad answer. Here's what I'm going to say. Remember, the Dream Team did not have all of those players in their primes. Larry Bird was very close to retirement. Magic Johnson was in retirement, coming a year after the HIV diagnosis. Christian Laettner was not even in the NBA. So I want you to think about this from players 1 through 12, because that's what we're discussing, because this team plays 11 guys a game, as did the Dream Team, by the way. 1 through 12, there's a case. I'm not sure there's a case 1 through 5, because you look at the way Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan were playing, that was their prime. Scottie Pippen. But there's some comparable things between these teams. That team had 10 different players average 8 points. It was awesome. We saw it. Their average margin of victory was 43 points. This team has 10 different players that average 7 points. The depth on the rosters is very comparable. And the bottom end of the roster, you're talking about Tyrese Halliburton, who is an all-NBA player, basically being the 12th man. The 12th man for the Dream Team was Christian Laettner. I just want to be clear. I mean, that is the way I think that this team can get an edge, is if they say 1 through 12. 1 through 5, LeBron's not in his prime, Steph's not in his prime, Durant's not in his prime. I don't know about 1 through 5, but it's team. I think they've got a case.
Ben, I guess we have to do it. I'm looking at the Dream Team roster. I'm looking at it right next to the Team USA roster. And I'm sorry, Mr. Windhorst, but I don't even see the 1 through 5. I just think it's all Dream Team, to be honest with you. Looking at it here, you have the reserves. This is just the reserves. Charles Barkley, Larry Bird, Clyde Drexler, David Robinson, Chris Mullin, John Stockton, Christian Laettner. Right now in the 24 team, you have Tatum, Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, Bam Adebayo, Drew Holiday, Tyrese Halliburton, and Derek White. To me, the problem becomes, especially when you're going to make a deeper argument, those last 4 names in 2024 just don't hold the weight of anybody else. Now, I'm willing to hear you if it's a team of players of the caliber of Jason Tatum, Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, just littered throughout the bench. But when you have Bam, Drew, Tyrese, and Derek White bringing up the back, and no disrespect to them, they're obviously great NBA players, they don't hold the weight. If I list the last 4 from the Dream Team side, David Robinson, Chris Mullin, John Stockton, you can throw Christian Laettner in there. I get it. He's kind of anchoring everything. I don't think there's much of a conversation here. Do you see any of it?
That's a really good point that you made. You know, what's interesting is before I heard Windhorst make his argument, I thought I was going to be firmly against what he was saying. I thought he made a pretty good case, but I think you did as well. I'm with you. I mean, I think the point is that the Dream Team was like all mega stars, guys that, all-time names, where you're right, like the bottom, the Drew Holidays and Bam Adebayos of the world are good players, but not like, I don't know if they're generational type names. Now, one of the things I wonder about is part of it just because that's what we grew up with. Like,
definitely could be right.
Will kids who grew up with this roster look at this team the way that we looked at the Dream Team?
Right.
Because there are a lot of generational players on this team
For sure.
too. LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I think you can at least make the argument.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still going with the Dream Team because of because of what you said, not just the starters, but the bench was littered with old-time names.
And that's the argument Windhorst tried to make, is that the depth of the 24 team is just deeper. I just don't see it. And for what it's worth, the starting lineup, 1-for-1 is Magic versus Steph. You have Jordan versus Devin Booker. That's not even close. Even if you were to throw Anthony Edwards in there, it's not even close. Pippen and KD, I think that's the first leaning towards 24. You get Karl Malone versus LeBron. I think that's a 24 win. And then Patrick Ewing and Joel Embiid, that might be more so what you're getting at, where I think maybe in 15, 20 years, kids will say Joel Embiid is incredible the same way we think. I mean, Patrick Ewing, that's an absolute legend, but Patrick Ewing, of course, had never won an NBA championship or anything like that, but was an absolutely fantastic player.
Yeah.
And definitely. I mean, I don't even think you can have this conversation if all those years back they go with Shaquille O'Neal instead of Christian Laettner. Then it's absolutely no conversation at all.
Part of it too is we have to see, does this team win gold, right?
Right.
Let's let them see if they actually take gold and dominate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough because the competition is obviously a million times better now than it was in 1992, but let's see. They've been pretty dominant so far in group play. Let's see if they continue to dominate all the way to the gold medal.
Yeah. And there's this fascination with always trying to have something be the best ever in your generation. And it does feel like a little bit of, look, can we just let the Dream Team be the best ever and we just leave it at that? I mean, it doesn't have to be even the Redeem Team, looking back at it, like they tried to sell us on that, I think it's 2008 Beijing Olympics, that team being comparable to the Dream Team. They were starting Tyson Chandler. So I just, it feels like every single time.
They're fun conversations
it's
to have,
fun.
I think.
It is
as long
fun.
as it's all good fun. And it is like, it's totally that generational divide. Because if you talk to like my dad, he'd say absolutely he would hate this team. But if you talk to like kids today, they'd be like, no, it's this team. LeBron's the best ever.
Yeah, exactly. And it is definitely, you're right. Like, I'm not trying to take away from this team at all. There is some generational talent. Having LeBron, Steph, KD still able to do what they do. That's incredible.
And I think we will look back on that.
It's a really special moment.
Yeah, I think we will look back on that and say that was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is that. Moving on, we teased it a little bit earlier in the show. We move on to the Las Vegas Raiders and everything that's going on with them. We mentioned earlier they have a preseason game this week. They released their unofficial depth chart, which definitely left a lot of people with some questions. And speaking of questions, Antonio Pierce was asked about what's going on with the state of his quarterback battle. And I'll just tell you, his quote was, "Somebody needs to step up." We get into that coming up next right here. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Xfinity Mobile. Connect to the most reliable 5G network nationwide. Well, July was very good to the A's as they put together their best month since they were 17-9 back in June of 21. And they took advantage of a real quirk in the schedule, playing the Angels 10 times in July, and they went 8-2. And also good series against the Astros and the Phillies, going 2-1 against those two ball clubs as well.
Want to save on some of the biggest names in streaming on the network made for streaming? Now through September 21st, get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for 12 months with a 1-year contract. And for just $15 a month, add the new Stream Saver that includes Peacock, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix for just $35 a month. Switch at Xfinity.com today. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular internet rates apply. Currently $54 a month. Actual speeds vary. Stream Saver requires Xfinity internet or TV and price subject to change.
Sacramento, Dierks Bentley's coming to town. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo for Country in the Park 2. And he's bringing some friends. Parmalee, Tyler Rich, Dasha, Kelsey Hart, and more. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park at Cal Expo. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by RVs of Sacramento and Hoblet Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center.
Only one radio program captures the excitement of hunting and fishing as it happens. The award-winning California Sportsman with Sep Hendrickson. Only California Sportsman takes you where the action is. Live on the water, live in the blind, and live with the top pros and experts in outdoor sports. California Sportsman with Fishing Hall of Famer Sep Hendrickson is your premier destination for all things outdoors. Sep's Saturday Morning Outdoors. Ultimate Bass and California Sportsman, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Saturdays on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Hi, this is Frank LaRosa.
And this is Scott Marsh.
Join us weekly for Golf to Go right here on Sacktown Sports. We talk to all the local golf experts in the area and give you the latest on all the courses as well.
And not to mention all the golf legends and celebrities, along with all the latest in equipment and tournaments too.
Most importantly, we'll just have some fun talking about a game that's fun to play.
You know, it's my favorite hour of the week, Frank.
Golf to Go, Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Saturdays at 8 a.m. right here on Sacktown Sports. Give us a listen. I think you'll enjoy it.
Your water heater, old, rusty, forgotten, we hardly ever even think about them until there's no hot water. Right now, get incredible rebates up to $3,000 off and financing available for as little as $40 a month. Leave it to Bonnie to crank up the heat.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sacktown Sports.
Ben, I'm sorry. I do not think we're going to get Brandon Aiyuk breaking news before the end of today's show, but we can.
Still got half an hour.
That is true.
Maybe you just spoke it into existence.
That is true. I would love it. A never say never mentality for sure. But Josina Anderson, just to keep everybody up with the most recent reports, has put out two different reports here, not conflicting at all, but just two separate notes. This was about 3 minutes ago. She put this out. The Steelers and 49ers are involved in talks over Brandon Aiyuk again, a source has told her, and Adam Schefter, adding, I'm told they are, quote, working on it. It's a lot of back and forth. That is, again, from Josina Anderson. And then about 15 minutes ago, I'm sorry, it was about an hour ago, she put out that initial report that I just read. And then about 15 minutes ago, she, quote, retweets that, again, earlier saying that the Steelers and Niners are involved in trade talks again. She then, quote, retweets it and says, now I'm told the Patriots aren't giving up on the 49ers Brandon Aiyuk stakes, per source. The question is, can New England stretch the offer they're prepared to give? If so, by how much, and how much creates sway? Do you feel like that is about the Niners maybe trying to get somebody else besides Kendrick Bourne, or do you think that's mainly about draft picks?
That's a good question.
Not that you would know. I mean, it's always easy to just throw the unanswerable questions at the coast.
No, I mean, I think one way or another, as we discussed earlier, the Niners would need more than what was reported with Kendrick Bourne and what was it, like a second and a third round pick. I think maybe another draft pick. I don't know if they could get more as a player. I don't know how many wide receivers the Patriots have.
Not good ones, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. You know what I'm thinking about is, like, which situation do you think is best for Aiyuk?
I mean, going to New England's
teams,
tough.
Yeah, I think out of those teams, probably the Steelers at this point.
I would think so.
If they can get back in it.
I mean, they're definitely the most perennially successful team. Obviously, just Tomlin being the joke of always being over 8-8, but kind of always floundering at that 8-8 number. That's an interesting one. That's how much faith you have in Russell Wilson.
I was going to say, like,
Fields.
You got. I for some reason do still kind of have faith in Russell Wilson, but yeah, he didn't.
Yeah,
he showed that he's certainly well past his
sure
Seahawks
definitely
days when he was in Denver. I don't know. I mean, I guess. Yeah, what's the
Browns played really well last year, but Deshaun Watson hasn't really played great. That was mainly based off their defense as well.
Yeah.
It's also a bit of, do you want to hitch your wagon to a team, an organization like the Browns, which they've definitely found the better side of it, but they obviously were a really tough franchise for a long time.
I mean, let's be real. The best situation by far is the 49ers.
The 49ers, which, Ben,
and they work something out.
I can't get that. I never understood that angle of it. In the NBA, it feels like if somebody were to be going through this where you're on the best team or one of the best teams guaranteed, and you ask to be out only because you want more opportunity, you're labeled as selfish. You're labeled as, what are you doing? Like, the reason why we play this game is to win. Why would you want to leave the Celtics to go be a part of the Atlanta Hawks? That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it's just a little surprising to me that hasn't been the prevailing. I definitely have seen it out there a little bit, but I'm surprised that hasn't been harped on a little bit more, that Brandon Aiyuk, you are on the best team in football. Maybe like $2 million isn't really that disrespectful of a gap for you to not want to take that contract.
That's the question is, what is the gap?
Yeah.
What is he being offered?
Right. Which we also don't officially know.
Right. If it's something drastic, it makes sense.
Yeah.
If it's close, if it's a couple $1 million a year, then maybe you take, who was it? The Juszczyk, Kyle Juszczyk took a pay cut.
Huge pay cut
to stay with the 49ers. And again, he was saying, like, at first he didn't like the idea of it,
he said he was upset.
At the end of the day, it's the best situation for him to be in.
Yeah.
If it's going to help them win, so be it.
Yeah, and I think you said it at the top of the show. Like, you understand the Aiyuk side of it. Like, he's got to look out for his own. That, if the Niners, that we can say, oh, what's the difference between 26 and 28 million? $2 million.
That's
like,
a lot of money.
That is not nothing. Like, that's a big difference for him, his family, his longevity, for sure. We can't sit here and try and downplay it.
I don't want to criticize him. Like, I haven't liked seeing the criticism of Aiyuk because, like I said, I don't think anyone is in the wrong here. He is entitled to try
he definitely is,
and do what's best for him and his family. And again, football players have such short careers. You've got to maximize your earnings in a very short amount of time.
100%.
And like, he has the right to do that. And just like
and now is the time to strike.
Now's
too.
the time to strike. He's in his
Oh
prime. Yeah. All these other deals, and he's in his prime. And then at the same time, the 49ers have the right to, do everything they can to keep him and get the most in a trade that they possibly could.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's part of the benefit of having all the riches that they have, right? Is that they have the benefit of saying, we really want you, Brandon, but we can survive without you. It's not going to be easy, but at the same time, the Niners have had the best roster in football the past couple of years, and it hasn't mattered for them. So.
From a football standpoint, Aiyuk probably needs the Niners more than the Niners need Aiyuk. So, just on the field. The 49ers, it would hurt losing Aiyuk, but they're still a Super Bowl contender. If Aiyuk goes to one of these other teams, he's probably not a Super Bowl contender, maybe not even in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's something he's got to figure out. And again, like, it's something that really, at this point too, it feels like it truly is his decision. Again, it sounds like the Niners have pretty much pushed all their chips into, we're willing to make whatever you want to make work out, as long as it's not paying you $30 million. We're willing to make it work out for you. But it's really Brandon Aiyuk's decision on if he wants to be part of a winning organization. And he might not ever get those 120 targets that he's looking for in a team, but at the same time, he might be able to be a big part of a winning organization. And who knows, maybe if Debo goes down, if George Kittle goes down, who knows, that opportunity might present itself.
And still, he was the number one wide receiver last year. And when you look at him, I don't think that's as big of a concern for him, because on the field, like, I love the way he plays. He doesn't seem like one to pout.
Which has been so strange about this too.
He's such a great blocker. You can tell he just loves to play football and do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And he was the number one option. Like, he led the team in receptions and in yards. So I think it really is more just about the money and the security for him.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll see how it plays out. Again, no official news on anything breaking yet, but definitely seems like a lot of things are going on behind the scenes when it comes to Brandon Aiyuk and that trade situation. Who knows how it's going to pan out, but however it does, you're going to want to tune in right here, Sacktown Sports 1140, and we will be all over it. And I know Emil is going to practice tomorrow, but if anything breaks today, I'm sure Emil will be on these airwaves almost immediately to break it all down and make sense of it all. So definitely excited at some point here to get a resolution to Brandon Aiyuk and everything going on. Moving on to the Raiders, who were a team that Brandon Aiyuk initially had stated interest in playing for, and we talked about the potential of a Devontae Adams and Brandon Aiyuk swap. Doesn't look likely right now, but what does look likely is a quarterback battle, like a true quarterback battle in Las Vegas. The Raiders released their unofficial depth chart yesterday on their team website, and it is unofficial, as it says in the post, but nonetheless, they have listed Aiden O'Connell, quote, or Gardner Minshew as their QB1, which had the internet absolutely dying because the Raiders just cannot decide which one of those two they want to go with. It wasn't also an interesting nugget here. As the Raiders' base offense, they were listed in 12 personnel, which is 1 running back, 2 tight ends, and those 2 tight ends, of course, being Michael Mayer, their second-round draft pick out of Notre Dame 2 seasons ago, and then Brock Bowers, their first-round pick from this season, both of which listed as starters. Again, the Raiders listed their depth chart in a 2 tight end set. A lot of people are reading into that you will see a lot of Brock Bowers in just about every capacity this year. If you've been keeping up with training camp updates in Las Vegas, there has been nothing but amazing words for Brock Bowers, and there was great words about him coming into the draft. Just as a player, a lot of people said he might be the number 1 individual talent in the draft. Do you have any expectations for the Raiders this season, or is it kind of playing with house money with Antonio Pierce just trying to get this thing kind of back on track?
They've got some pieces, but again, the quarterback situation, I don't think either option is all that great.
Yeah.
O'Connell finished the year really strong
He
last
did.
year, and
Yeah.
I thought he was going to – I mean, to me, it makes the most sense to give it – we kind of know what Gardner Minshew is. Like, Minshew Mania is fun, and I just think he's proven himself to be a good backup and probably not more. So I don't necessarily see the Raiders – they'll compete for a playoff spot again, but I don't think much more than that, just because, again, like their quarterback situation is probably average at best.
I would think so. Yeah. And it's a tough situation for them too, because I don't really know what their goal will be for this season when you have Aiden O'Connell, when you have Gardner Minshew. Like you said, Gardner Minshew is a nice bridge quarterback. I think last year in Indianapolis, he came in for Anthony Richardson after he got hurt for a couple games, and he led them to a decent year.
Yeah.
That feels like that's what Gardner Minshew does, is he can lead you to around 500 football. And, if you have a good team around him, maybe you can uplift him. But just looking at the Raiders depth chart here and just in general, it's left me feeling pretty dry. I'm not super excited about a Zamir White, Alexander Madison backfield.
I think that's a huge drop off.
To
That's
me,
that's the
where they
area where
lose
they
it.
got worse. Yeah, Josh Jacobs, one of the best in the league.
So good. Yeah, absolutely so good. And he goes over to Green Bay now. And it just feels like I don't know how exciting Zamir White and Alexander Madison. Let me tell you, Alexander Madison was not good for Minnesota last year. I just don't really see that being a very good safety blanket when you have 2 quarterbacks that you have a lot of questions about. Gardner Minshew, like we mentioned last year, was great for Indianapolis, but he also had Jonathan Taylor in his backfield for a good portion of that. And Zamir White and Alexander Madison just not quite up to that standard. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the NBA schedule release, when we could potentially expect to see the Sacramento Kings in action. And by the way, the Kings haven't announced it, but some other teams across the league have announced their preseason schedule with the Kings involved. We will let you know the preseason games that we know at this point so far, and we're going to get Ben's thoughts on which matchups he's looking forward to the most this season. Wrapping it up right here in Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Subscribe to Sacktown Sports on YouTube and watch the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys, live Monday through Friday from 6 to 6. Plus, view archive shows and exclusive content.
Subscribe at youtube.com/Sacktown Sports.
Some people just know safe drivers save more with Allstate. Just like they know that's the mating call of a blue-footed booby. And not a green-footed booby. Yeah, some people know that. And they know if you're a safe driver, you can save up to 40% with Allstate. Ain't that something?
Based on the national average premium savings for Allstate customers with a clean driving record versus those without. Savings vary by state and based on how you buy. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Want to keep your gas-powered engines running like new? Stable's proprietary formulas are proven by third-party testing to outperform the competition in keeping fuel fresh, preventing corrosion, and cleaning the entire fuel system. With Stable, you can have confidence you are doing the right thing for your engine's long-term health. Just pour into your gas can or fuel tank, then top off with fresh fuel. At every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable. Available where fuel additives are sold.
Let's face it, nothing makes you look older than you really are than thinning hair. But what if you could not only increase your hair count, but promote new hair growth without surgery, without drugs with potential side effects, and without a prescription from your doctor? Well, now you can, thanks to a breakthrough new supplement called Hair Grow, provided by New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Europe. Hair Grow is now available in the U.S. Only Hair Grow contains Tocogaya, a powerful antioxidant that has received a U.S. patent. Multiple clinical studies show Hair Grow is safe and effective in promoting new hair growth. In one study, 95% of the patients using Hair Grow saw increased hair count. Don't lose more time and more hair. Try Hair Grow today to feel and look your best. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS. Look younger and feel more confident with Hair Grow by New Nordic at NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
Michael Dave here for Capital Casino. Sacramento's summertime heat is back. And of course, Cap Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, wants to invite everyone to soak up some air conditioning, still with the most variety of table games in the region. And as always, the best food, best service, and the best action, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. Capital Casino, of course, reminding everyone to please make sure you gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
What sets Ashton & Price apart from other injury law firms? I'll tell you. From beginning to end, all important legal decisions are made directly between our clients and their experienced local attorney. A gate agent flying the plane, the receptionist performing surgery, not a chance. There's simply no substitute for the unique power of the direct attorney-client relationship offered by Ashton & Price. And there's never a fee until we win, and between you and me, we win a lot.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
If you've been on the American River, it's uphill, it's downhill. There's trails everywhere that you can walk, and it just makes you happy. And I couldn't walk, and it was terrible. I was turning into a real crab. I went to the Good Feet store, and I tried on the arch supports. I could not believe that I was not in pain. I can walk, I can run, I can jump, I can do anything. My name's Terry, and that's my Good Feet story.
The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, and Vacaville.
Maida Chevy saves you $12,000 off MSRP on every new half-ton Silverado LT Turbo Max. In stock after rebates. Always 5 to choose from. Labor Day savings on now at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
See dealer for details. Ends 9/3/24.
Sacktown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sacktown Sports and subscribe.
Final segment here. Ben Ross filling in for Alan Stiles, I guess you could say. Alan is holding down the morning show for Dave and Jason, who are out on vacation. You're about to hear the Drive Guys coming up in about 15 to 20 minutes. Whitey Gleason is out on vacation as well. Kyle Draper will be joined by a guest host, and excited to hear all that they have to talk about. They will definitely be talking about this Team USA. At this point, it's working towards a blowout of Brazil. Brazil only has one NBA player to both of our knowledge, and it's Gui Santos of the Golden State Warriors, who just got bodied by Anthony Davis on a putback dunk. So I will say there is a little bit of I play like, I guess you can call it intramurals would be the level, but like beer league softball and non-competitive volleyball. And I will say there's nothing worse than the team that, especially in a beginner level, has the best team and still is very loud about their destroying of you. I will say I get a little bit of those vibes from Team USA.
Yeah.
As Anthony Davis had that putback, you have Tyrese Halliburton and Joel Simmons doing like a hold me back on the entire bench. So I will say
Team USA's got some good talkers. Anthony Edwards.
Oh my
Embiid,
gosh, that's
yeah.
elite.
Yeah.
That is some elite talking there. Yeah, I would hate to,
Well,
to be on the other end of that.
I was going to say, is this like payback for? Is it? I asked you earlier. Is this like? Is
Yes.
this how Brazil feels in soccer when they play us? So
Yeah.
like, oh, we can just run up the score.
Yeah, we can do whatever we want. Today's where we get our trick shots off and everything like
Yeah.
that. Definitely does have. I mean, these guys are definitely taking it seriously for sure. But you can kind of see. You and I they came back from a commercial, and we had just obviously done a segment, and so we didn't see where the score had led off as they were going to break. And we were like, Brazil brought it close for a second, but these guys look way too relaxed
They
on the
looked
bench.
very
and
comfortable,
then as we looked, they
joking
were
around.
up 16.
Yeah,
so
that was quick.
Yeah, these guys are definitely taking it seriously, but at the same time, like you said, I mean, there is definitely a bit of let's take a breath. Let's relax. Let's have some fun. Let's remember that, we are here. Of course, we're here to win gold, but this is also a once in a lifetime experience that you do hope that these guys get something out of besides just a gold medal. So, definitely don't have a problem with them having fun or celebrating or anything like that. But
especially when you're playing as well as they are and dominating the way they are.
They are absolutely killing it right now. And I did want to play real quick, Nate, if we can get to that Antonio Pierce audio. Here's what Antonio Pierce had to say about the state of his quarterback battle right now in camp.
No, I don't think we've, sit there and say somebody's won yet. I think they both had good moments. I'll go back. I think Gardner's had, several days now where he's made some plays, but there's also some turnovers that show up that we don't want to have happen as well. And again, when I look at Aiden, I see a guy that's, throwing the ball accurate. I see some drops by our wide receivers. And I don't think it's just on the quarterbacks. I think overall our offensive play has to pick up sense of urgency, wide receivers, O-line, just all those guys. Again, go back to the very beginning of my opening statement of training camp. They're going against a very good defense. And I think they're feeling that, and I think it's good for our team, the competition part. But obviously, somebody, again, has to just step up, and we're getting closer and closer, and obviously we're getting the game week mode a little bit as we get later in the week. We still got 2 more true training camp practices. Then we got Wednesday, Thursday, and then that's when we'll start looking at what we want to do game-wise. But like I said, both quarterbacks want to play a legit quarter. Who goes out first and who goes out second really doesn't matter. Get hopefully an equal amount of snaps and opportunities to showcase.
I will read way too much into that, and I will just say, in general, it sounds to me like Aiden O'Connell is sitting in the driver's seat when it comes to that. And I read that from Devontae Adams a couple weeks ago, had some statements about how I think he said he would prefer Aiden O'Connell at the moment. If you, Ben, you pointed out that Aiden O'Connell finished the season really well last year. And even in Antonio Pierce's comments right there, again, if I could read way too much into it, he says Gardner Minshew, he's had some good throws, he's had some good days, but there's still some things that we want to see tightened up. And then when he talks about Aiden O'Connell, it says Aiden O'Connell, he's done well as well. He's also had some receivers drop some balls. So just in terms of the messaging there, to me, if I'm reading way too much into it, I'm thinking Aiden O'Connell does have the leg up on that competition. And I think he more than likely at some point next season will be the Raiders quarterback. And I just don't know if Gardner Minshew is ever going to grab a hold of that starting spot enough to where it's, Aiden O'Connell is still the younger guy in that competition. And it feels like more times than not in the NFL, you want to lean towards the younger talent and see if you have any.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. I think the preseason might have a lot to do with it. Like if one of them really takes to your point, though, the last 4 games of last season, Aiden O'Connell, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Wow. That's a lot better than I even thought.
Yeah, and he was over 240 yards in 3 of the he was solid. He struggled in the Kansas City loss. Yeah. Actually, no, that was a win. That was the game I think they just went really run heavy when they won at Kansas City. But yeah, team went 3-1 in those games, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. You can't argue with that.
Sounds great. I mean, and the Raiders ended their season so well last year. And definitely a lot of reliance is going to be on that defense for them to have a successful season. And as we talk about seasons that are right around the corner, the NBA schedule release date is potentially right around the corner. I found this over at vividseats.com. According to Vivid Seats, the NBA will release its schedule sometime between Friday, August 16th and Tuesday, August 20th. Funny enough, the date that they have as the predicted date on vividseats.com is Thursday, August 15th. So I guess we'll extend that from Thursday, August 15th through Tuesday, August 20th is the expected date where the NBA schedule has been released. For those who do want to look way too much into it, over the past 3 years, last season, it was on Friday, August 18th, and 22-23, it was on Wednesday, August 17th, and in 21-22, it was on August 20th, which was as well a Friday. So, anywhere pretty much between, again, like the dates listed, it seems like the 15th through the 20th is a pretty good shout to see when you will see your Sacramento Kings back in action in the Golden One Center. And we do know a couple of preseason dates that are on the horizon here. Again, the Sacramento Kings haven't released their official preseason schedule, but other teams have. And some Kings fans out there have compiled the preseason games we know so far. Right now, the first announced Kings preseason game will be in Chase Center. I guess I shouldn't say in Golden State, in San Francisco at Chase Center on October 11th at 7 p.m. The Kings will play the Warriors. There's also a Kings-Blazers game scheduled for October 13th. That one is scheduled to be in Golden One Center. That is the only home preseason game that we have announced so far. That is, again, October 13th at 3 p.m. And then you have the Kings versus the Utah Jazz on October 15th at 5 p.m. Those are the 3 preseason games that have been announced by other teams so far that we do know are official. I would guess that we have 1, potentially 2 more preseason games that we still need to find out, and I would assume that at least one of those is going to happen at Golden One Center. Ben, we talked about the Kings matchup with the Pelicans earlier today. Do you have a matchup in general that you're most excited to see from this season? Can be Wemby and his season 2. It could be Memphis with them re-arriving in the Western Conference. Do you have a matchup that you're looking forward to the most to see the Sacramento Kings?
I think, honestly, it's probably just the usual suspects, right? Lakers,
Warriors.
Warriors.
Yep.
I mean, I think I'm excited. Yeah, I think it's funny. I was going to ask, are you a big schedule guy? I've never been someone who gets that excited about schedule.
Especially not the NBA schedule.
Yeah.
You play everybody.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm like, you're going to play everybody. I guess it's like fun to know what the dates are and set your calendar so that you can. But yeah, I don't know if there's anyone that really stands out. I'd say probably Lakers and Warriors. Who am I missing?
Those are really the big ones.
Who had some like big
is.
additions this year or like player movement?
Dallas, if you want to see
maybe
Clay,
yeah.
But really in terms of the West, I mean, I do think it's been a bit overblown. A lot of people saying, the West just continues to get better and better. Denver loses KCP. That makes them worse to me. OKC adds Caruso. They were already the best team in the Western Conference.
Right.
Minnesota adds Rob Dillingham, a young, exciting rookie. I don't really have any particular matchup. I guess I probably should have had a definite answer if I'm going to ask you that question. But I would honestly probably answer the exact same. You got to be excited about those Laker matchups. I mean, they still carry
LeBron,
some weight.
Still got Steph in Golden State. Those have been really fun
play.
matchups.
It works every single time. It never fails to hit. And I guess
how long the winning streak against the Lakers can go.
I guess, right? Yeah. What are we sitting at? 4 right now? 5? It's either 4 or 5 right now that we're winning. We're beating the Lakers every single time. And I guess that brings me to the Pelicans. I guess we have to see.
Put an end to that.
Can we finally get over that Pelican hump? That is what I guess I'll say I'm most excited to see for this coming season from the Sacramento Kings. But we will see, again, August 15th through the 20th is the projected release date for the 2024-25 NBA schedule. So be on the lookout for that. You can tune in, keep your dial locked in right here, Sacktown Sports 1140. Ben Ross, thank you so much for joining me today. It was a blast. It flew through. I feel like we still got a couple things that we got to talk about, so you got to come on at some point here soon, man.
Anytime. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely.
This was really fun. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, absolutely. You can check out Ben Ross over on his Twitter. You said BT. What is
BRT.
it? BRT. I almost said
tweets.
BTS. BRT.
BTS.
Ben Ross tweets. You can go check out his tweets there. He will be at the Oakland A's versus Chicago White Sox game tomorrow. You can go read his recap over there at the AP. Ben Ross, thank you so much for joining us. Coming up next, you have The Drive Guys with Kyle Draper right here on Sacktown Sports 1140.
The only place you'll find Malik Monk is Sacktown